Deep beneath our feet lies a world we've barely imagined. A forgotten kingdom lost to time. Giants roamed lush jungles, titans ruled endless oceans, and the skies thundered with wings wider than airplanes. This was Earth, 400 to 66 million years ago. Alien, yet majestic. From vast supercontinents breaking apart to dinosaurs battling fiercely for survival, every discovery about this prehistoric era reshapes our understanding of life itself. Fossils tell shocking stories, revealing creatures so bizarre they seem mythical, yet undeniably real. This ancient Earth vanished in an instant, forever changing life's path. But could another dramatic shift be just around the corner? The Devonian period, spanning from about 419 million to 359 million years ago, saw significant changes in Earth's climate and environment. This era, often called the Age of Fishes, experienced warmer temperatures compared to our current climate. During the early Devonian, much of Earth's landmass was concentrated in the southern hemisphere, forming the supercontinent Gondwana. The climate was generally warm and stable, with relatively high sea levels. As the period progressed, global temperatures continued to rise, leading to widespread tropical and subtropical conditions across much of the planet. One of the most notable features of the Devonian climate was the high levels of atmospheric carbon dioxide, estimated to be several times higher than present-day concentrations. This greenhouse effect contributed to the overall warmth and allowed for the expansion of plant life on land, including the first forests. Towards the end of the Devonian, the climate began to cool slightly, setting the stage for the major glaciations that would occur in the subsequent Carboniferous period. This cooling trend, combined with other factors, likely contributed to one of the major extinction events in Earth's history, marking the end of the Devonian and significantly impacting marine life. During the Cretaceous period, the continents were in significantly different positions compared to their current locations. The supercontinent Pangaea had already begun to break apart, but the land masses were still much closer together than they are today. North America and Europe were connected, forming a large landmass called Laurasia. South America, Africa, Antarctica, and Australia were part of another large landmass known as Gondwana. India was an island continent, drifting northward towards Asia. The Atlantic Ocean was narrower, while the Pacific Ocean was wider than it is now. The Mediterranean Sea did not exist in its current form, and instead, there was a vast ocean called the Tethys Sea between Gondwana and Laurasia. These differences in continental arrangement led to unique climate patterns and ocean currents, influencing the distribution of plants and animals across the globe. The gradual movement of these land masses over millions of years would eventually result in the familiar world map we recognize today. During the Devonian period, which lasted from about 419 million to 359 million years ago, the Earth's land masses were quite different from what we see today. The most prominent feature was the supercontinent Gondwana, which occupied much of the southern hemisphere. This massive landmass included parts of what would later become Africa, South America, Antarctica, Australia, and India. In the northern hemisphere, several smaller continents were scattered across the globe. Laurasia, also known as Euramerica, was a significant landmass formed by the collision of Laurentia, which included most of North America, and Baltica, comprising parts of northern Europe. Another important continent was Siberia, which existed as a separate landmass during this time. The arrangement of these continents created a vast ocean called Panthalassa, which covered much of the Earth's surface. Between Gondwana and the northern continents lay the Rheic Ocean, a major body of water that would eventually close as the continents moved closer together in later periods. These landmasses were home to diverse ecosystems, including the first forests and a wide variety of marine life. The Devonian period saw significant developments in plant and animal evolution, with the emergence of more complex terrestrial plants and the rise of early amphibians venturing onto land. The Devonian oceans were a world apart from the seas we know today. During this period, roughly 400 million years ago, the marine environment was undergoing significant changes that would shape the course of life on Earth. One of the most striking differences was the oxygen content. Devonian oceans had much lower oxygen levels compared to modern seas, particularly in deeper waters. This created vast oxygen minimum zones that greatly influenced the distribution and evolution of marine life. Many organisms developed specialized adaptations to thrive in these low-oxygen environments. The chemical composition of Devonian seas also differed from present-day oceans. Carbon dioxide levels were higher, leading to more acidic waters. This affected the ability of some organisms to form shells and skeletons, while favoring others that could tolerate these conditions. Additionally, the oceans contained different concentrations of minerals and nutrients, which impacted the types of life that could flourish. Perhaps most notably, the Devonian period saw a dramatic increase in the diversity and abundance of fish. Unlike modern oceans dominated by ray-finned fish, Devonian seas teemed with armored placoderms, jawless fish, and the ancestors of today's sharks. These ancient oceans were the stage for a crucial chapter in vertebrate evolution, setting the scene for the eventual conquest of land by our distant ancestors. During the Carboniferous period, which lasted from about 360 million to 299 million years ago, the dominant life forms on land were quite different from what we see today. This era saw the rise of vast swamps and forests, creating perfect conditions for the evolution of early land animals and plants. Amphibians were the most prevalent vertebrates, evolving into diverse forms and sizes. Some grew to be as large as crocodiles, becoming the top predators of their time. These early tetrapods, or four-legged animals, were still closely tied to water, but were beginning to adapt more fully to life on land. Plants experienced a major boom during this period. Massive tree-like ferns, horsetails, and club mosses dominated the landscape, forming dense, swampy forests. These plants grew to enormous sizes, with some reaching heights of over 100 feet. Their remains would eventually form much of the coal deposits we find today. Perhaps most notably, this period saw the emergence and rapid diversification of insects. Giant dragonflies with wingspans of over 2 feet soared through the air, while massive millipedes longer than a human crawled on the forest floor. These arthropods thrived in the oxygen-rich atmosphere of the Carboniferous, growing to sizes unimaginable in our current world. The Devonian period, spanning from about 419 million to 359 million years ago, marked a crucial time in plant evolution. This era saw a remarkable diversification of plant life, transforming the landscape of our planet. Early in the Devonian, plants were relatively simple, confined mostly to coastal areas. However, as the period progressed, plants developed key adaptations that allowed them to spread inland and grow taller. One of the most significant innovations was the evolution of a vascular system, which enabled plants to transport water and nutrients more efficiently. This development paved the way for the emergence of the first trees and forests. Another critical adaptation was the evolution of seeds, which provided a more effective means of reproduction and dispersal. This allowed plants to colonize drier environments and spread across wider areas. The development of leaves also occurred during this time, increasing plants' ability to capture sunlight and produce energy through photosynthesis. By the end of the Devonian, the world had witnessed the rise of diverse plant groups, including early ferns, horsetails, and the predecessors of modern seed plants. These evolutionary advancements set the stage for the lush, varied plant life we see today and had profound effects on the planet's atmosphere, climate, and animal life. The first forests on Earth emerged during the Devonian period, roughly 390 million years ago. These ancient woodlands were vastly different from the lush, diverse forests we know today. The earliest forests were dominated by primitive plants called Archaeopteris, which were more closely related to ferns than modern trees. These prehistoric trees lacked many features we associate with contemporary forests. They had no leaves as we know them, instead sporting frond-like structures. Their trunks were relatively thin and lacked the complex branching patterns of modern trees. Despite these differences, Archaeopteryx could grow up to 30 meters tall, creating the first canopies on our planet. The forest floor of these primeval woodlands was likely sparse, with limited undergrowth due to the lack of evolved ground plants. The soil was shallow and nutrient-poor as the complex relationships between plants, fungi, and soil bacteria had not yet developed. These forests were also silent, as they predated the evolution of most land animals, including insects. As revolutionary as these first forests were, they played a crucial role in shaping Earth's atmosphere and climate. They began the process of carbon sequestration on a large scale, pulling carbon dioxide from the air and significantly increasing oxygen levels. This shift in atmospheric composition paved the way for the evolution of larger land animals and set the stage for the diverse ecosystems that would follow in later eras. The evolution of trees profoundly transformed Earth's atmosphere, reshaping our planet's climate and laying the groundwork for complex life as we know it today. Trees first appeared around 400 million years ago during the Devonian period, and their emergence marked a pivotal moment in Earth's history. As trees spread across the land, they began to dramatically alter the composition of the atmosphere. Through photosynthesis, trees absorbed vast amounts of carbon dioxide, a potent greenhouse gas, and released oxygen as a byproduct. This process gradually increased the oxygen content of the air while simultaneously reducing carbon dioxide levels. The impact of this change was monumental. The increased oxygen levels allowed for the evolution of larger, more complex animals, including the ancestors of many species we see today. Meanwhile, the reduction in carbon dioxide led to global cooling as less heat was trapped in the atmosphere. This cooling effect played a crucial role in shaping Earth's climate patterns. Trees also influenced the water cycle and weather patterns. Their extensive root systems helped to stabilize soil, reducing erosion and altering the flow of water across landscapes. The transpiration of water through leaves added moisture to the air, contributing to cloud formation and rainfall patterns. These changes in turn affected the distribution of other plant and animal species, further altering ecosystems across the globe. The Devonian period, often called the Age of Fishes, saw a remarkable diversity of marine life. Dominating the ancient seas were various groups of fish, including the armored placoderms. These fascinating creatures sported bony plates covering their heads and frontal body sections, giving them a formidable appearance. Alongside the placoderms swam the first sharks, ancestors of the cartilaginous fish we know today. Another significant group was the lobe-finned fish, which would later give rise to the first tetrapods. These fish possessed muscular fins that foreshadowed the development of limbs in future land-dwelling vertebrates. The ray-finned fish, ancestors of most modern fish species, also began to diversify during this time. Invertebrates played a crucial role in Devonian ecosystems as well. Trilobites, though past their peak diversity, still scuttled along the seafloor. Crinoids, often called sea lilies, flourished in great numbers, their feather-like arms filtering food from the water. Ammonoids, relatives of modern squid and octopuses, began their evolutionary journey during this period. Coral reefs expanded significantly in the Devonian, creating complex habitats for a multitude of marine organisms. These reefs were built primarily by rugose and tabulate corals, very different from the corals we see today. Brachiopods, with their two-valved shells, were also abundant, filling niches similar to modern-day clams and mussels. During the Devonian period, often called the Age of Fishes, marine life underwent remarkable changes. Fish evolved rapidly, developing a wide array of new forms and adaptations. One of the most significant developments was the emergence of jawed fish, which gave these creatures a major advantage in capturing prey and defending themselves. Bony fish, ancestors of most modern fish species, became increasingly diverse. They developed more efficient swim bladders, allowing better control of buoyancy and movement through the water. Some fish groups began to evolve limb-like fins, a crucial step towards the eventual transition of vertebrates from water to land. Sharks and their relatives also appeared during this time, with their distinct cartilaginous skeletons and powerful jaws. These predators quickly became dominant in many marine ecosystems, driving further evolutionary adaptations in their prey species. Perhaps most intriguingly, certain fish groups started to develop primitive lungs alongside their gills. This dual breathing system was a key innovation that would later enable some fish descendants to survive in both aquatic and terrestrial environments, setting the stage for the evolution of amphibians and the conquest of land by vertebrates. The first tetrapods were pioneering vertebrates that made the monumental transition from water to land. These ancient creatures evolved from lobe-finned fish during the Devonian period, roughly 370 million years ago. As their name suggests, tetrapods developed 4 limbs, a crucial adaptation that allowed them to navigate terrestrial environments. The emergence of tetrapods was a gradual process driven by environmental pressures and evolutionary advantages. Shallow, oxygen-poor waters likely encouraged these early fish to venture onto land, possibly in search of food or to escape predators. Over time, their fins evolved into weight-bearing limbs, while their respiratory systems adapted to breathe air. Fossils such as Tiktaalik and Acanthostega provide valuable insights into this transition. These creatures possessed features of both fish and land-dwelling animals, including rudimentary lungs alongside gills and fin-like limbs with digits. Such intermediate forms showcase the step-by-step evolution from aquatic to terrestrial life. The rise of tetrapods marked a pivotal moment in evolutionary history, paving the way for the diverse array of land vertebrates we see today, including amphibians, reptiles, birds, and mammals. This transition fundamentally altered Earth's ecosystems and set the stage for the conquest of land by vertebrate life. The transition of vertebrates from water to land was a monumental step in evolutionary history. Our evidence for this crucial shift comes primarily from fossil records dating back to the Devonian period, roughly 370 million years ago. These fossils reveal the gradual adaptations that allowed fish to venture onto land and eventually become the ancestors of all terrestrial vertebrates. One of the most significant pieces of evidence is the fossil of Tiktaalik, discovered in the Canadian Arctic. This creature, often called a fishapod, shows characteristics of both fish and tetrapods, the 4-limbed animals that would later evolve into amphibians, reptiles, birds, and mammals. Tiktaalik had fins that were beginning to resemble limbs, with bones that correspond to the upper arm, forearm, and primitive wrist bones of land-living animals. Further evidence comes from trace fossils, such as footprints preserved in ancient mud. These footprints, found in various locations around the world, provide insight into how early tetrapods moved on land. They show the progression from fin-like appendages dragging through mud to more defined weight-bearing footsteps. Fossil remains also reveal the development of other crucial adaptations for land life. These include changes in skull structure to support the head without water buoyancy, the evolution of a neck to allow head movement independent of the body, and modifications to the respiratory system to breathe air efficiently. Together, these fossils paint a picture of the gradual yet revolutionary change that brought vertebrate life onto land, setting the stage for the diverse array of terrestrial animals we see today. The emergence of roots marked a pivotal moment in Earth's history, profoundly altering the planet's surface and accelerating the process of soil formation. As plants evolved to colonize land, their roots began to penetrate and break down rock, initiating a cascade of changes that would reshape the Earth's crust. Roots acted as nature's own excavators, burrowing into cracks and crevices in rocks. As they grew and expanded, they exerted physical pressure, gradually widening these fissures and breaking larger rocks into smaller fragments. This mechanical weathering increased the surface area exposed to chemical weathering processes, speeding up the breakdown of minerals. Additionally, roots began to secrete organic acids and other compounds that chemically reacted with minerals in the rocks. This process, known as biochemical weathering, further accelerated the breakdown of parent material into smaller particles. As plants died and decayed, they added organic matter to these weathered rock particles, enriching the developing soil with nutrients and promoting the growth of microorganisms. The presence of roots also helped to stabilize these newly formed soils, preventing erosion and allowing for the accumulation of more material over time. This stabilization created a feedback loop, enabling more plants to grow, which in turn led to more root development and further soil formation. The result was a dramatic transformation of the Earth's surface, laying the foundation for the diverse ecosystems we see today. The Devonian period, occurring roughly 419 million to 359 million years ago, was a crucial time for insect evolution. This era saw the emergence of the first known insects, marking a significant milestone in the history of life on Earth. During this period, insects developed several key adaptations that would shape their future success. One of the most important was the evolution of wings, which first appeared in the late Devonian. This innovation allowed insects to exploit new habitats and food sources, dramatically expanding their ecological roles. The Devonian also witnessed the diversification of early insect groups. As plants began to colonize land and form the first forests, insects evolved alongside them, developing new ways to feed on and live among these emerging ecosystems. This coevolution between plants and insects laid the groundwork for the complex ecological relationships we see today. By the end of the Devonian, insects had established themselves as a highly successful group of organisms. Their ability to fly, coupled with their small size and adaptability, positioned them to become one of the most diverse and abundant animal groups on the planet, a status they still hold today. The Devonian period, spanning from about 419 million to 359 million years ago, witnessed several significant extinction events. The most notable of these was the late Devonian extinction, which actually consisted of a series of pulses that devastated marine life over a period of approximately 20 million years. The Kellwasser event, occurring around 372 million years ago, marked the first major pulse of this extinction. It primarily affected marine organisms, particularly reef-building creatures and jawless fish. The second major pulse, known as the Hangenberg event, took place near the very end of the Devonian period, about 359 million years ago. This event had an even more profound impact, leading to the disappearance of many vertebrate groups and causing significant changes in plant life. During these events, an estimated 75% of all species on Earth perished. The extinctions were particularly severe for marine ecosystems, with many types of coral, trilobites, and armored fish disappearing entirely. On land, the events coincided with major changes in plant life, including the evolution and spread of the first forests. The causes of these extinction events are still debated among scientists. Possible factors include global cooling, sea level changes, oceanic anoxia or lack of oxygen, and even the evolution of land plants, which may have altered the Earth's atmosphere and nutrient cycles in the oceans. These events reshaped life on our planet and set the stage for the evolutionary developments of the following Carboniferous period. The Carboniferous period, spanning from about 360 million to 299 million years ago, was a time of significant change and development on Earth. This era saw the evolution of diverse and abundant plant life, particularly in swampy forest environments. Massive trees, some reaching heights of 100 feet or more, dominated the landscape, creating dense, humid ecosystems. One of the most notable features of the Carboniferous was the extremely high oxygen levels in the atmosphere, estimated to have been up to 50% higher than present-day levels. This oxygen-rich environment allowed for the evolution of giant insects and other arthropods. Dragonflies with wingspans of over 2 feet and millipedes longer than 6 feet roamed the Earth during this time. The Carboniferous also marked a crucial period in the development of vertebrate life on land. Amphibians thrived in the swampy conditions, and the first reptiles began to emerge, marking a significant step in the evolution of terrestrial animals. These early reptiles were better adapted to life fully on land, paving the way for the diverse reptilian fauna of later periods. Perhaps the most enduring legacy of the Carboniferous period is found beneath our feet. The lush forests and swamps of this era, buried and compressed over millions of years, formed the vast coal deposits that have fueled human industry since the Industrial Revolution. This connection between ancient plant life and modern energy resources highlights the profound impact the Carboniferous continues to have on our world today. The Earth's atmosphere during the Hadean Eon was drastically different from what we experience today. Volcanic activity was intense and widespread, spewing vast amounts of gases into the primordial sky. The air was thick with carbon dioxide, water vapor, and nitrogen, creating a dense and oppressive blanket around the young planet. Notably, absent was free oxygen, which would not become a significant component of our atmosphere until much later in Earth's history. This early atmosphere was incredibly hot and inhospitable by modern standards. The greenhouse effect, amplified by the abundance of carbon dioxide and water vapor, trapped heat from the sun and the planet's still molten interior. Temperatures at the surface would have been scorching, far too extreme for life as we know it to exist. Another key difference was the lack of ozone layer protection. Without free oxygen in the upper atmosphere, there was no shield against the sun's harmful ultraviolet radiation. This meant that the surface of the Earth was constantly bombarded by intense UV light, further contributing to the harsh conditions of the early planet. The composition of this primordial atmosphere played a crucial role in shaping the Earth's early development. It set the stage for the complex chemical reactions that would eventually lead to the emergence of life and the gradual transformation of our planet into the habitable world we know today. The Carboniferous period, which occurred approximately 300 to 360 million years ago, experienced remarkably high oxygen levels in its atmosphere. This surge in oxygen was primarily caused by the rapid spread and diversification of land plants, particularly large trees and forest ecosystems. During this time, vast swathes of the Earth's landmass became covered in lush, dense forests. These plants, through the process of photosynthesis, absorbed carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and released oxygen as a byproduct. The sheer scale of plant life during this period led to an unprecedented increase in oxygen production. Additionally, the Carboniferous period saw the evolution of lignin, a complex polymer that gives wood its strength. Early plants had not yet developed efficient ways to break down lignin, so when trees died, they did not fully decompose. This led to the accumulation of vast amounts of plant matter, which eventually formed coal deposits. This burial of organic material prevented the carbon from re-entering the atmosphere, further contributing to the oxygen-rich environment. Scientists estimate that oxygen levels during the Carboniferous period may have reached as high as 35% of the atmosphere, compared to our current 21%. This oxygen-rich environment had profound effects on the evolution of life, enabling the development of giant insects and amphibians, and setting the stage for the later evolution of reptiles and eventually dinosaurs. The rise of oxygen in Earth's atmosphere marked a pivotal moment in our planet's history, dramatically altering the course of life. This event, known as the Great Oxidation Event, occurred approximately 2.4 billion years ago. It was triggered by the evolution of photosynthetic organisms, primarily cyanobacteria, which began releasing oxygen as a byproduct of their metabolism. Initially, the increased oxygen levels were toxic to many existing life forms, causing a mass extinction of anaerobic organisms. However, this paved the way for the evolution of more complex life forms that could utilize oxygen for energy production. The ability to use oxygen in cellular respiration allowed organisms to generate significantly more energy from their food, enabling the development of larger, more complex body structures and active lifestyles. The oxygenation of Earth's atmosphere also led to the formation of the ozone layer, which shields the planet's surface from harmful ultraviolet radiation. This protection allowed life to colonize land surfaces, leading to the evolution of terrestrial plants and animals. Additionally, the presence of free oxygen in the atmosphere enabled the formation of mineral deposits and changed the chemistry of the oceans, further influencing the evolution of marine life. The increased oxygen levels ultimately set the stage for the emergence of multicellular organisms and the explosion of biodiversity that followed. This fundamental shift in Earth's atmospheric composition continues to shape life on our planet today, highlighting the profound impact of environmental changes on the evolution of life. The Carboniferous period, spanning from about 360 million to 300 million years ago, was a time of lush, verdant landscapes dominated by towering plants. Massive tree-like plants called lycopsids were among the most prominent species. These ancient relatives of modern club mosses could grow to heights of over 100 feet, with thick trunks and a crown of spiky leaves. Another major group was the sphenopsids, ancestors of modern horsetails. These plants had segmented stems and grew in dense, swampy forests. Ferns were also abundant, ranging from small ground-covering species to tree ferns that rivaled the lycopsids in height. These plants thrived in the warm, humid climate of the Carboniferous. Seed ferns, an extinct group of plants that combined characteristics of ferns and seed plants, were widespread during this period. Despite their name, they were not true ferns, but represented an early evolutionary step towards modern seed plants. Cordaites, tall, tree-like plants related to modern conifers, were also common, especially in drier upland areas. These dominant plant species formed vast swamp forests that eventually became the coal deposits we mine today. The incredible diversity and abundance of plant life during the Carboniferous period played a crucial role in shaping Earth's atmosphere, increasing oxygen levels, and setting the stage for the evolution of large terrestrial animals in later periods. The Carboniferous rainforests were truly massive, covering vast swaths of the Earth's land masses during their peak around 300 million years ago. These lush, prehistoric jungles stretched across the equatorial regions of the supercontinent Pangaea, creating a nearly unbroken band of dense vegetation that spanned thousands of kilometers. These ancient forests were unlike anything we see today. Towering tree ferns reached heights of over 30 meters, while giant horsetails and club mosses dominated the landscape. The air was thick with humidity and rich in oxygen, fostering the growth of insects to enormous sizes. Dragonflies with wingspans over 70 centimeters soared between the massive trunks of scale trees, which would later form much of the world's coal deposits. The extent of these forests was so great that they significantly altered Earth's atmosphere and climate. By absorbing vast amounts of carbon dioxide, they helped cool the planet and produced much of the oxygen we breathe today. The scale of the Carboniferous rainforests was truly planetary, influencing global systems in ways that continue to shape our world. As the climate changed and continents shifted, these expansive forests eventually declined. However, their legacy lives on in the fossil record and the energy sources we still rely upon, serving as a testament to the incredible scope and impact of Earth's ancient ecosystems. The Carboniferous period, spanning from about 360 million to 300 million years ago, was a time of lush, dense forests, unlike anything we see today. These ancient woodlands were dominated by towering trees that would seem alien to modern eyes. Imagine a hot, humid landscape filled with giant ferns and horsetails reaching heights of up to 100 feet. These plants, which we now see as small undergrowth, were the titans of their time. Alongside them grew massive club mosses, or lycopsids, with thick, scaly trunks and leafy crowns that stretched toward the sky. One of the most distinctive features of these forests was the lack of flowers or fruits. The plants reproduced via spores, not seeds, and the air was likely filled with these microscopic particles. The ground was often swampy, with shallow waters between the tree trunks, creating a mosaic of land and water. Perhaps most striking to our modern sensibilities would be the insects. Dragonflies with wingspans of over 2 feet zipped between the trees, while giant millipedes longer than a human crawled through the undergrowth. These forests were the backdrop for an explosion of terrestrial life, setting the stage for the diverse ecosystems we see today. The formation of coal beds during the Carboniferous period was a remarkable process that spanned millions of years. This era, occurring roughly 300 to 360 million years ago, saw the Earth covered in vast, lush swamps teeming with plant life. These swamps were home to towering trees, ferns, and other vegetation that thrived in the warm, humid climate. As these plants died, they sank into the swampy waters, creating layers of decaying plant matter. Over time, these layers were buried by sediment and water, preventing them from fully decomposing. The weight of the accumulating layers compressed the plant material, squeezing out water and gases. This compression, combined with heat from the Earth's core, gradually transformed the plant matter into peat. As more time passed and more layers built up, the peat underwent further changes. The increased pressure and heat caused chemical alterations in the organic material, driving out oxygen and hydrogen and leaving behind carbon-rich deposits. These carbon-rich deposits eventually became coal, with different types forming depending on the amount of heat and pressure applied over millions of years. The result was the extensive coal beds we find today, representing the remnants of ancient swamps and forests from a time when the Earth's landscape was dramatically different from what we see now. The Carboniferous period, spanning from about 360 million to 299 million years ago, was a time of lush, swampy forests teeming with diverse animal life. These ancient ecosystems were dominated by several major animal groups that had evolved to thrive in the warm, humid conditions. Amphibians were among the most prominent inhabitants of Carboniferous forests. These early tetrapods, including large predatory species like Anthracosaurus and smaller salamander-like creatures, flourished in the damp environment. They were well adapted to life both in water and on land, making them perfectly suited to the swampy landscapes of the time. Insects also experienced a golden age during the Carboniferous. Giant insects, far larger than their modern counterparts, were common sights in these ancient forests. Meganeura, a dragonfly-like insect with a wingspan of up to 75 centimeters, soared through the air, while massive millipedes called Arthropleura, reaching lengths of up to 2.5 meters, crawled along the forest floor. Early reptiles began to emerge and diversify during this period as well. These animals, ancestors to modern reptiles, birds, and mammals, were better adapted to life on land than their amphibian contemporaries. They laid eggs with hard shells, allowing them to reproduce away from water and colonize drier habitats within the Carboniferous forests. The evolution and diversification of amphibians is a fascinating chapter in Earth's history. These pioneering vertebrates first emerged from the water onto land during the Devonian period, about 370 million years ago. Their ancestors were lobe-finned fish that developed the ability to breathe air and move on land, likely in response to the opportunities presented by terrestrial environments. As amphibians adapted to life on land, they underwent significant changes. Their fins evolved into legs, allowing them to navigate terrestrial habitats more effectively. They developed lungs to breathe air, although many retained gills for aquatic respiration. Their skin became more robust to prevent water loss, yet remained permeable enough to allow for some gas exchange and moisture absorption. During the Carboniferous period, amphibians experienced a major radiation, diversifying into numerous forms. Some grew to enormous sizes, like Ichthyostega, which reached lengths of up to 1.5 meters. Others remained small and agile, better suited for hunting insects and other small prey. This diversity allowed amphibians to occupy various ecological niches, from swamps and forests to more arid environments. However, the rise of reptiles during the Permian period presented new challenges for amphibians. Reptiles, with their amniotic eggs and water-conserving adaptations, were better suited to fully terrestrial life. This competition, along with climate changes, led to a decline in amphibian diversity. Yet, amphibians persisted, evolving into the frogs, salamanders, and caecilians we know today, each with their own unique adaptations for survival in a world increasingly dominated by other vertebrates. The earliest reptiles emerged during the Carboniferous period, roughly 320 million years ago. These pioneering creatures marked a significant evolutionary step, adapting to life fully on land. Unlike their amphibian ancestors, these early reptiles developed key features that allowed them to thrive in terrestrial environments. One of the most crucial adaptations was the amniotic egg, which provided a protected environment for embryos to develop on land. This innovation freed reptiles from the need to return to water for reproduction. Early reptiles also evolved scales, helping them retain moisture and providing protection against the elements. These ancient reptiles were generally small, likely no larger than modern lizards. They had sprawling gaits with legs extending out to the sides rather than underneath their bodies. This posture was energy-intensive, but allowed them to navigate the dense Carboniferous forests and swamps effectively. The diet of these early reptiles varied, with some being insectivores while others may have been omnivorous. They coexisted with large amphibians and early synapsids, the ancestors of mammals. In a world dominated by vast swathes of tropical forests and coal-forming swamps, these humble beginnings set the stage for the diverse and spectacular reptilian lineages that would follow in subsequent eras. During the Carboniferous period, approximately 300 million to 360 million years ago, insects grew to enormous sizes compared to their modern counterparts. This remarkable growth was primarily due to the unique environmental conditions of the time. The atmosphere during the Carboniferous period contained significantly higher levels of oxygen than we have today, with estimates suggesting it reached up to 35% compared to our current 21%. This oxygen-rich environment allowed insects to breathe more efficiently through their tracheal system, which relies on diffusion to distribute oxygen throughout their bodies. With more oxygen available, insects could grow larger without being limited by their respiratory system. Another factor contributing to insect gigantism was the absence of large terrestrial predators. Birds and most flying reptiles had not yet evolved, leaving insects with fewer threats and more opportunities to grow. This lack of predation pressure allowed insects to explore larger body sizes without facing increased risks. The abundance of lush vegetation during this period also played a crucial role. The Carboniferous saw the rise of vast swamp forests, providing insects with ample food sources and habitats. This rich ecosystem supported the energy requirements of larger insect species, allowing them to thrive and grow to impressive dimensions. Throughout Earth's history, arthropods have achieved remarkable sizes, dwarfing their modern counterparts. One of the most impressive land-dwelling arthropods was Arthropleura, a distant relative of modern millipedes and centipedes. This creature lived during the Carboniferous period, around 300 million years ago, and could grow up to 2.5 meters in length. Imagine encountering a millipede longer than a human is tall. Another giant was Pulmonoscorpius, an ancient scorpion that lived around 340 million years ago. This formidable creature reached lengths of up to 70 centimeters, making it significantly larger than any modern scorpion. Its size and powerful pincers would have made it a fearsome predator in its time. In the insect world, Meganeura stands out as a true giant. This dragonfly-like creature had a wingspan of up to 70 centimeters, comparable to that of a modern crow. It soared through the skies of the late Carboniferous period, around 300 million years ago, likely preying on other flying insects and small amphibians. These enormous arthropods thrived in an oxygen-rich environment, with atmospheric oxygen levels much higher than today. This abundance of oxygen allowed for the evolution of such large body sizes, as it supported more efficient respiration through their tracheal systems. As oxygen levels decreased over time, so did the maximum size of terrestrial arthropods, leading to the smaller varieties we see today. The evolution of amniotic eggs marked a pivotal moment in the history of terrestrial vertebrates. This remarkable adaptation allowed early tetrapods to fully colonize land, freeing them from the necessity of returning to water for reproduction. Amniotic eggs provided a protected environment for developing embryos, complete with a food source and a means of gas exchange. The shell of these eggs, while permeable to gases, prevented dehydration, allowing the young to develop on dry land. This innovation meant that animals could lay their eggs in a wider variety of terrestrial habitats, greatly expanding their potential range. This evolutionary leap had profound consequences for vertebrate diversity. It paved the way for the emergence and rapid diversification of reptiles, birds, and mammals. Without the need to return to water, these groups were able to adapt to a vast array of terrestrial niches, from deserts to forests to tundra. The amniotic egg also allowed for longer developmental periods, which in turn permitted the evolution of more complex body plans and behaviors. This extended development time was particularly crucial for the evolution of larger, more sophisticated brains, setting the stage for the cognitive abilities we see in many terrestrial vertebrates today. The Carboniferous period, spanning from about 359 million years ago to 299 million years ago, was a time of significant geological and environmental changes on Earth. One of the most notable events was the formation of vast coal deposits, which gave this period its name. Lush forests of giant ferns, horsetails, and scale trees thrived in the warm, humid climate. Their remains eventually forming the coal seams we mine today. During this time, the continents were in the process of colliding to form the supercontinent Pangaea. This continental collision led to the formation of major mountain ranges, including the Appalachian Mountains in North America and the Ural Mountains in Russia. The movement of tectonic plates also caused widespread volcanic activity, particularly along the newly formed mountain belts. The Carboniferous saw dramatic fluctuations in sea levels, with repeated cycles of flooding and retreat. These changes created extensive shallow seas over large parts of the continents, leading to the deposition of vast limestone formations. The limestone deposits from this period are now important sources of building materials and host many of the world's cave systems. Another significant event was a major glaciation that began in the southern hemisphere during the late Carboniferous. Ice sheets expanded across much of the ancient supercontinent of Gondwana, which included parts of modern South America, Africa, Australia, and Antarctica. This glaciation marked the beginning of an ice age that would continue into the subsequent Permian period, profoundly influencing global climate and sea levels. The Permian period, spanning from about 299 million to 252 million years ago, was a time of significant changes on Earth. This era saw the formation of the supercontinent Pangaea as most of the land masses merged into a single vast expanse. This continental configuration had profound effects on global climate and ecosystems. During the Permian, life flourished both on land and in the seas. The period witnessed the diversification of reptiles, which began to dominate terrestrial environments. Early ancestors of mammals, known as synapsids, also emerged and thrived during this time. In the oceans, reef-building organisms like rugose and tabulate corals created complex marine ecosystems. The climate of the Permian was generally warm and dry, with expanding deserts in the interior of Pangaea. This led to the evolution of plants adapted to arid conditions, such as seed ferns and early conifers. The period also saw the development of extensive coal swamps, which later formed significant coal deposits. Perhaps the most notable feature of the Permian period was its conclusion, marked by the most severe mass extinction in Earth's history. This event, known as the End Permian Extinction, wiped out an estimated 95% of marine species and 70% of terrestrial vertebrate species. The causes of this catastrophic event are still debated, but likely involved massive volcanic eruptions, climate change, and changes in ocean chemistry. During the Permian period, which lasted from about 299 million to 252 million years ago, Earth's continents underwent a dramatic transformation. This era saw the formation of the supercontinent Pangaea, a process that had begun in the earlier Carboniferous period and reached its culmination in the Permian. As the Permian progressed, the land masses that would become North America, Europe, and Asia moved closer together, eventually colliding to form a single northern continent called Laurasia. Simultaneously, the southern continents, including South America, Africa, Antarctica, and Australia, merged into a large landmass known as Gondwana. These two enormous landmasses then joined together, creating the vast supercontinent of Pangaea. This continental configuration had profound effects on Earth's climate and ecosystems. The interior of Pangaea became increasingly arid as moisture from the oceans failed to penetrate deep into the continent. Coastal areas, however, experienced more moderate climates, leading to distinct environmental zones across the supercontinent. The formation of Pangaea also impacted ocean currents and global weather patterns, contributing to the extreme climate shifts that characterized the end of the Permian period. These changes in continental arrangement set the stage for the major evolutionary and extinction events that would follow, shaping the course of life on Earth for millions of years to come. The Permian period, which lasted from about 299 million to 252 million years ago, experienced significant climate changes. Earth during this time was quite different from what we know today. The climate was generally warm and dry, with temperatures higher than our current global averages. As the period progressed, the climate became increasingly arid. Vast deserts expanded across the interiors of the supercontinents, particularly Pangaea. These desert regions were characterized by extreme temperature fluctuations between day and night, creating harsh conditions for life. However, the Permian climate was not uniform across the globe. Coastal areas and regions near the equator maintained more moderate temperatures and higher humidity levels. The poles were also warmer than they are today, supporting diverse ecosystems that included forests. Towards the end of the Permian, the climate underwent a dramatic shift. Global temperatures rose sharply, likely due to massive volcanic eruptions in what is now Siberia. This extreme warming event contributed to the largest mass extinction in Earth's history, marking the end of the Permian and paving the way for the rise of the dinosaurs in the subsequent Triassic period. The formation of Pangaea, the supercontinent that existed approximately 300 million years ago, had profound effects on global climate patterns. As all the landmasses merged into one giant continent, the distribution of heat and moisture across the planet changed dramatically. With vast expanses of land now concentrated in one area, much of Pangaea experienced an extreme continental climate. The interior regions of the supercontinent became incredibly dry, as moisture-laden air from the oceans could not penetrate far inland. This led to the formation of extensive deserts and arid zones in the continental interior, creating harsh conditions for life. Coastal areas, however, experienced more moderate climates due to their proximity to the single massive ocean called Panthalassa. The absence of separate continents also meant that ocean currents could flow unimpeded around the globe, distributing heat more evenly. This led to a reduction in the temperature gradient between the equator and the poles, resulting in weaker global wind patterns. The consolidation of landmasses also affected the carbon cycle. With less coastline overall, there was a decrease in the weathering of rocks, a process that removes carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. This contributed to higher levels of carbon dioxide, leading to a warmer global climate. The formation of Pangaea thus set the stage for the hot, dry conditions that characterized much of the Permian and Triassic periods, shaping the evolution of life on Earth for millions of years to come. During the Permian period, which lasted from about 299 million to 252 million years ago, the dominant plant groups were quite different from what we see today. Seed plants, particularly gymnosperms, began to diversify and thrive in this era. The most prevalent types were conifers, which included ancestors of modern pines and firs, as well as cordaites, tall tree-like plants with strap-shaped leaves. Another significant group was the seed ferns, or pteridosperms. These plants, despite their name, were not true ferns, but rather seed-bearing plants with fern-like foliage. They were widespread and diverse during the Permian, occupying various ecological niches. Ginkgophytes, relatives of the modern ginkgo tree, also emerged and began to spread during this time. True ferns and their allies, such as horsetails and club mosses, which had dominated in earlier periods, were still present but less prominent. These spore-producing plants were gradually being outcompeted by the more advanced seed plants in many environments. However, they remained important components of the flora, especially in wetter habitats. The Permian also saw the development of glossopterids, a group of seed plants that were particularly abundant in the southern supercontinent of Gondwana. These plants, characterized by their tongue-shaped leaves, formed extensive forests and were crucial components of the coal deposits formed during this period. The diversity and adaptations of these plant groups set the stage for the dramatic changes in terrestrial ecosystems that would unfold in the following Triassic period. Seed plants underwent a remarkable evolution and diversification during the Carboniferous period, roughly 360 million to 300 million years ago. This era saw the emergence of two major groups of seed plants, the gymnosperms and the now extinct seed ferns. The development of seeds was a crucial adaptation that allowed plants to reproduce without the need for water, unlike their spore-producing ancestors. This innovation enabled plants to colonize drier environments and spread across vast land areas. Gymnosperms, which include modern conifers, cycads, and ginkgos, became particularly successful during this time. Seed ferns, despite their name, were not true ferns, but rather an early group of seed-bearing plants. They combined features of both ferns and seed plants, with fern-like foliage and seeds borne on modified leaves. These plants dominated many Carboniferous landscapes, forming extensive forests alongside early conifers and other gymnosperms. The diversification of seed plants during this period was driven by various factors, including climate changes, the development of different ecological niches, and co-evolution with early insects. This expansion of plant life had profound effects on the Earth's atmosphere, increasing oxygen levels and setting the stage for the evolution of larger land animals in subsequent eras. The Permian period saw a diverse array of animal life on land, with several major groups dominating terrestrial ecosystems. Synapsids, often called mammal-like reptiles, were among the most prominent. These creatures included pelycosaurs such as Dimetrodon, known for its distinctive sail-like back, and more advanced therapsids that would eventually give rise to mammals. Amphibians were also abundant during this time. Large, crocodile-like animals known as temnospondyls roamed the swamps and rivers, while smaller, salamander-like lepospondyls inhabited various aquatic and terrestrial habitats. These amphibians played crucial roles in Permian ecosystems as both predators and prey. Another significant group was the anapsids, which included the ancestors of modern turtles. These early reptiles had evolved various adaptations for life on land, including more efficient locomotion and water conservation strategies. Parareptiles, a diverse group of early amniotes, were also present, with some members like Scutosaurus growing to considerable sizes. Towards the end of the Permian, the first archosaurs appeared. These animals would later give rise to crocodiles, pterosaurs, and dinosaurs, setting the stage for the dramatic changes in terrestrial fauna that would occur in the subsequent Triassic period. Reptiles rose to dominance during the Permian period. Around 290 million years ago, their ascent marked a significant shift in Earth's ecosystems as they became the first fully terrestrial vertebrates. This transition was made possible by key adaptations that allowed reptiles to thrive on land. One crucial development was the amniotic egg. Unlike amphibians, which require water for reproduction, reptiles could lay eggs with protective membranes and shells. This innovation allowed them to reproduce entirely on land, freeing them from the constraints of aquatic environments. Reptiles also evolved more efficient lungs and a water-conserving skin, which helped them adapt to drier habitats. Their scaly exterior prevented water loss, while their improved respiratory system allowed for more active lifestyles. These adaptations, combined with their ability to regulate body temperature through behavior, gave reptiles a significant advantage in terrestrial environments. As the climate became warmer and drier during the late Permian and early Triassic periods, reptiles were well equipped to exploit new ecological niches. They diversified into various forms, from small insectivores to large herbivores and predators. This diversification set the stage for the age of dinosaurs and the continued success of reptiles in terrestrial ecosystems for millions of years to come. The transition from reptiles to mammals was a gradual process that unfolded over millions of years. Among the earliest creatures to show mammal-like characteristics were the synapsids, which emerged around 300 million years ago. These animals, often called mammal-like reptiles, began the evolutionary journey that would eventually lead to modern mammals. One of the most notable groups of early synapsids was the pelycosaurs. These creatures, which lived during the Carboniferous and Permian periods, included the famous Dimetrodon. Despite its sail-backed appearance resembling that of dinosaurs, Dimetrodon was actually more closely related to mammals. It possessed several mammal-like features, including differentiated teeth and the beginnings of a secondary palate. Following the pelycosaurs came the therapsids, which appeared around 275 million years ago. This group showed even more mammalian traits. The Gorgonopsians, for example, were therapsids with long canine teeth and legs that were positioned more under their bodies, unlike the sprawling posture of typical reptiles. Another important therapsid group was the cynodonts, which emerged later and bore an even stronger resemblance to mammals. These early mammal-like reptiles paved the way for the emergence of true mammals. They developed characteristics such as warm-bloodedness, fur, and more complex teeth and jaws over time. This gradual evolution demonstrates the fascinating process of how one group of animals can transform into another over millions of years, showcasing the dynamic nature of life on Earth. The Permian period, spanning from about 299 million to 252 million years ago, witnessed significant developments in marine life. During this time, the oceans teemed with a diverse array of creatures, many of which were ancestors to modern marine species. One of the most notable developments was the rise of ammonoids, relatives of modern cephalopods like squids and octopuses. These shelled creatures diversified rapidly, becoming important indicators for geologists studying this period. Alongside them, brachiopods thrived, with their two-valved shells dominating many marine environments. The Permian seas also saw the emergence of more advanced fish species. Cartilaginous fish, including early sharks, continued to evolve, while bony fish began to diversify further. Some of these fish developed features that would later prove crucial for the eventual transition to land. Perhaps most intriguingly, the Permian period witnessed the evolution of early marine reptiles. These creatures, distant ancestors of modern sea turtles, sea snakes, and marine iguanas, began to adapt to life in the water, developing streamlined bodies and flipper-like limbs. This marked the beginning of a major transition in vertebrate evolution, setting the stage for the marine reptile dominance that would follow in the Mesozoic era. The Permian seas teemed with a diverse array of reef-building organisms that created vast and complex underwater structures. Rugose and tabulate corals, which had been dominant reef builders in earlier periods, continued to play a significant role in Permian reef ecosystems. However, the true stars of Permian reef construction were the sponges, particularly a group known as the stromatoporoids. Stromatoporoids were colonial organisms that secreted layered calcium carbonate skeletons, forming massive wave-resistant structures. Alongside these, other sponges such as sphinctozoans and inozoans contributed to reef growth. These sponges often formed intricate, branching structures that added complexity to the reef environment. Another crucial group of reef builders in the Permian were the phyloid algae. These plant-like organisms deposited calcium carbonate, creating large, leaf-like structures that served as important framework builders. Bryozoans, small colonial animals, also played a role in reef construction, often encrusting and stabilizing other reef-building organisms. The combination of these diverse organisms resulted in expansive and intricate reef systems that supported a wide range of marine life. These Permian reefs were among the most extensive in Earth's history, rivaling modern coral reefs in size and complexity. However, their reign would come to an abrupt end with the Permian Triassic extinction event, fundamentally altering the nature of reef ecosystems for millions of years to come. During the early stages of Earth's formation, the polar regions were vastly different from what we see today. The planet was a molten sphere of rock, with no distinct surface features or ice caps. As the Earth gradually cooled over millions of years, the first solid crust began to form. However, this early crust was unstable and constantly recycled due to the intense heat and geological activity. The concept of polar regions as we know them did not exist in these primordial times. The entire planet experienced extreme temperatures, with no significant temperature difference between the equator and the poles. The atmosphere was thick with volcanic gases and water vapor, creating a greenhouse effect that kept the surface warm and inhospitable. As the Earth continued to cool, the first oceans began to form from condensing water vapor. These early oceans covered much of the planet, including what would eventually become the polar regions. The lack of stable continents meant that there were no land masses anchored at the poles to accumulate ice. It wasn't until much later in Earth's history, after the continents had formed and the planet's climate had stabilized, that the polar regions began to resemble their current state. The development of ice caps and the distinct ecosystems we associate with the Arctic and Antarctic took billions of years to evolve, shaped by countless geological and climatic changes throughout Earth's long and dynamic history. The Permian period, which occurred between 299 million and 252 million years ago, left behind substantial geological evidence of extensive glaciations. One of the most compelling pieces of evidence comes from the presence of tillites, which are sedimentary rocks formed from material deposited by glaciers. These tillites have been found across ancient landmasses that were once part of Gondwana, including parts of present-day South America, Africa, India, and Australia. Geologists have also identified striations and grooves on rock surfaces that date back to the Permian. These markings are characteristic of glacial activity, caused by rocks and debris embedded in moving ice sheets scraping across the landscape. Additionally, dropstones, which are large rocks found in fine-grained sedimentary deposits, provide further evidence of ice rafting during this period. The distribution of certain fossil plants also supports the existence of Permian glaciations. Cold-adapted flora, known as the Glossopteris flora, has been found in Permian-aged rocks across the southern continents. This widespread occurrence of similar plant species suggests a common cold climate across these now separated landmasses. Geochemical evidence, such as oxygen isotope ratios in marine fossils, further corroborates the presence of extensive ice sheets during the Permian. These isotopic signatures indicate significant global cooling events, consistent with the formation of large ice masses. Together, these diverse lines of evidence paint a compelling picture of a world partially covered in ice during the Permian period, offering crucial insights into Earth's climate history. The end Permian mass extinction, often called the Great Dying, was the most severe extinction event in Earth's history. This catastrophic event, occurring approximately 252 million years ago, wiped out nearly 96% of marine species and 70% of terrestrial vertebrate species. The primary cause of this devastating extinction was likely massive volcanic eruptions in what is now Siberia. These eruptions, known as the Siberian Traps, released enormous amounts of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. This led to rapid global warming, causing ocean temperatures to rise and oxygen levels in the water to plummet. The warming climate also triggered the release of methane hydrates from the seafloor, further accelerating the greenhouse effect. As the oceans warmed and became more acidic, marine ecosystems collapsed. On land, the extreme heat and drought conditions made survival difficult for many species. Recent evidence suggests that the extinction might have been exacerbated by microbes that thrived in the oxygen-poor oceans. These microbes produced toxic hydrogen sulfide gas, which could have poisoned both marine and terrestrial life. The combination of these factors created a perfect storm of environmental stress, leading to the most significant loss of biodiversity in Earth's history. The end Permian extinction event was the most catastrophic mass extinction in Earth's history. This devastating episode, which occurred approximately 252 million years ago, wiped out an astounding 95% of marine species and 70% of terrestrial vertebrate species. The scale of this extinction was so immense that it fundamentally altered the course of life on our planet. To grasp the severity of this event, consider that it took life on Earth nearly 10 million years to recover. The oceans were particularly hard hit, with entire ecosystems collapsing. Trilobites, which had thrived for over 300 million years, vanished completely. On land, vast forests died out, and many groups of reptiles and amphibians were decimated. The causes of this extinction are still debated, but evidence points to massive volcanic eruptions in what is now Siberia. These eruptions released enormous amounts of greenhouse gases, leading to rapid global warming and ocean acidification. The changes were so severe and rapid that most life forms simply could not adapt quickly enough to survive. This extinction event marked the end of the Paleozoic era and the beginning of the Mesozoic, setting the stage for the rise of the dinosaurs. It serves as a stark reminder of how vulnerable life on Earth can be to rapid, large-scale environmental changes. The Triassic period marked a significant turning point in Earth's history, spanning from about 252 million to 201 million years ago. This era began in the aftermath of the devastating Permian extinction, which had wiped out over 90% of marine species and 70% of terrestrial vertebrates. One of the most notable features of the Triassic was the formation of the supercontinent Pangaea. This massive landmass created vast interior deserts and affected global climate patterns, leading to generally hot and dry conditions across much of the Earth. The lack of separate continents meant there were few isolated ecosystems, allowing animals to roam widely across the land. The Triassic saw the emergence and diversification of several important animal groups. Dinosaurs first appeared during this time, though they were relatively small and not yet dominant. Marine reptiles like ichthyosaurs evolved, filling niches left vacant after the Permian extinction. On land, archosaurs became the predominant terrestrial vertebrates, with crocodile-like phytosaurs and early pterosaurs among their ranks. Plant life also underwent significant changes during the Triassic. Gymnosperms, including conifers and cycads, became widespread, replacing the lycophyte forests of the Carboniferous and Permian. These plants were better adapted to the drier Triassic climate and would go on to dominate terrestrial ecosystems for millions of years to come. The end Permian mass extinction, occurring approximately 252 million years ago, was the most severe extinction event in Earth's history. It wiped out nearly 96% of marine species and 70% of terrestrial vertebrate species. The recovery of life after this catastrophic event was a slow and complex process that took millions of years. In the immediate aftermath of the extinction, the oceans were dominated by microbial life forms. These microorganisms thrived in the harsh conditions, including low oxygen levels and high temperatures. As conditions gradually improved, more complex marine life began to reappear. Mollusks, such as snails and bivalves, were among the first animals to recover and diversify. On land, the recovery was equally gradual. The earliest Triassic period saw the emergence of small, generalist reptiles that could survive in the challenging post-extinction environment. These included ancestors of modern lizards and early archosaurs, the group that would eventually give rise to dinosaurs and crocodilians. Plant life also slowly recovered, with seed ferns and conifers becoming more prevalent. One of the most significant aspects of the recovery was the rise of new ecological niches and evolutionary innovations. For instance, the first marine reptiles evolved during this time, filling roles previously occupied by now extinct groups. This period of recovery and diversification set the stage for the emergence of many new species that would dominate the Mesozoic era, including the dinosaurs that would later rise to prominence. The Triassic period, which began about 252 million years ago and lasted for approximately 50 million years, was characterized by a warm and dry climate across much of the globe. This era marked the beginning of the age of dinosaurs and saw significant changes in Earth's environment. During the early Triassic, the planet was still recovering from the devastating Permian-Triassic extinction event, which had wiped out most of life on Earth. As the period progressed, the climate became increasingly hot and arid. The supercontinent Pangaea, which encompassed nearly all of Earth's landmass, created vast interior deserts with extreme temperature fluctuations between seasons. The poles were free of ice caps, and sea levels were generally higher than they are today. This led to the formation of shallow seas over many continental areas. The increased global temperatures also resulted in weaker global temperature gradients, meaning there was less variation in temperature from the equator to the poles. Towards the end of the Triassic, the climate began to shift. Increased volcanic activity, possibly related to the breakup of Pangaea, led to higher levels of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. This greenhouse effect further intensified the already warm climate, setting the stage for the even hotter Jurassic period that followed. The breakup of Pangaea, the supercontinent that once encompassed all of Earth's landmasses, began during the Triassic period, approximately 230 million years ago. This monumental geological event was driven by powerful forces within the Earth's mantle, causing stress and tension in the continental crust. The initial phase of Pangaea's fragmentation started with the formation of rift valleys, deep cracks in the Earth's surface. These rifts began to form along what would become the margins of future continents. As the rifting process continued, magma from the Earth's interior rose to fill these cracks, further weakening the continental connections. One of the first major breaks occurred between North America and Africa, creating a rift that would eventually become the central part of the Atlantic Ocean. This separation was accompanied by extensive volcanic activity, leaving behind massive flood basalts that can still be observed today along the eastern coast of North America and the western coast of Africa. As the continents slowly drifted apart, new oceanic crust formed in the widening gaps between them. This process of seafloor spreading, coupled with the continuous movement of tectonic plates, gradually shaped the world's oceans and continents into the configuration we recognize today. The breakup of Pangaea was a slow but relentless process that would continue for millions of years, ultimately giving rise to our modern global geography. The Triassic period, which began about 252 million years ago, saw significant changes in plant life. Conifers, also known as gymnosperms, emerged as the dominant plant group during this time. These cone-bearing trees, ancestors of modern pines and firs, thrived in the warm, dry climate that characterized much of the Triassic. Alongside conifers, cycads became increasingly prevalent. These palm-like plants, still found in tropical regions today, were well adapted to the Triassic environment. Ginkgos, with their distinctive fan-shaped leaves, also rose to prominence during this period. Ferns and horsetails, which had been major components of earlier Paleozoic forests, continued to play a significant role in Triassic ecosystems. However, they were gradually overshadowed by the newly dominant seed plants. Seed ferns, a now extinct group that combined characteristics of ferns and seed plants, were also present but declining. The Triassic also saw the first appearance of Bennettitales, an extinct order of seed plants that somewhat resembled cycads. These plants would go on to become more diverse and widespread in the subsequent Jurassic period, contributing to the changing landscape of the Mesozoic era. Conifers, the cone-bearing trees that dominate many of Earth's forests today, began their rise to prominence during the Triassic period, around 250 million years ago. This era marked a significant shift in global climate, with conditions becoming generally warmer and drier. These environmental changes created an ideal setting for conifers to thrive and expand their range across the planet. Conifers possessed several adaptations that gave them a competitive edge in this changing world. Their needle-like leaves were better suited to conserve water in arid environments, and their robust wood allowed them to grow taller than many other plant species. This height advantage enabled conifers to capture more sunlight and outcompete their rivals in the struggle for resources. The conifers' reproductive strategy also played a crucial role in their widespread success. Unlike earlier plants that relied on water for reproduction, conifers developed seeds that could be dispersed by wind. This innovation allowed them to colonize new areas more efficiently, even in drier regions where water-dependent reproduction would have been challenging. As the climate continued to shift and many other plant species struggled to adapt, conifers seized the opportunity to fill newly available ecological niches. Their ability to thrive in diverse environments, from cold mountain slopes to hot, dry plains, enabled them to spread across vast stretches of land, laying the foundation for the conifer-dominated forests that would shape Earth's landscapes for millions of years to come. The Triassic period, which began about 252 million years ago, marked a significant turning point in the evolution of life on Earth. Following the devastating Permian extinction, the planet's ecosystems were ripe for new forms of life to emerge and diversify. One of the most notable groups to evolve during this time were the archosaurs, which included the ancestors of both crocodiles and dinosaurs. These reptiles would go on to dominate terrestrial ecosystems for millions of years. The first true dinosaurs appeared late in the Triassic, setting the stage for their reign in the following Jurassic period. Marine reptiles also saw significant diversification during the Triassic. Ichthyosaurs, resembling modern dolphins, evolved to become powerful swimmers. Plesiosaurs, with their long necks and paddle-like limbs, also made their first appearance. In the skies, pterosaurs developed as the first vertebrates capable of powered flight. Mammals, too, have their origins in the Triassic. The first mammal-like reptiles, called cynodonts, evolved during this time. These small, furry creatures would eventually give rise to all modern mammals, including humans. The Triassic thus laid the foundation for many of the major animal groups that would shape the future of life on Earth. The story of dinosaurs begins over 230 million years ago during the Triassic period. Earth was a very different place then, with all the continents joined together in a supercontinent called Pangaea. The climate was warmer and more arid than today, creating challenging conditions for life. The first dinosaurs evolved from small, agile reptiles called archosaurs. These early dinosaurs were relatively small, bipedal creatures, likely no larger than a medium-sized dog. They possessed key adaptations that set them apart from their reptilian cousins, including upright leg posture and specialized hip structures that allowed for more efficient movement. As the Triassic progressed, dinosaurs began to diversify. They split into two main groups: the Saurischians, which included the ancestors of modern birds and long-necked sauropods, and the Ornithischians, which would later give rise to armored and horned dinosaurs. This initial diversification laid the groundwork for the incredible variety of dinosaur species that would dominate the planet for the next 160 million years. The end of the Triassic period saw a mass extinction event that wiped out many competing reptile groups. This catastrophe ironically provided an opportunity for dinosaurs to flourish, as they were able to fill newly vacant ecological niches. From this point, dinosaurs rapidly evolved into an astonishing array of forms, setting the stage for their reign as Earth's dominant land animals throughout the Jurassic and Cretaceous periods. The earliest mammals of the Triassic period were small, nocturnal creatures that emerged around 225 million years ago. These ancient ancestors of modern mammals were not much larger than mice, with most species weighing less than half a kilogram. They had fur-covered bodies, warm blood, and gave birth to live young, distinguishing them from their reptilian contemporaries. These early mammals, known as proto-mammals or mammal-like reptiles, still retained some reptilian features. They had a mixture of different types of teeth, including canines and molars, which allowed for more efficient chewing and digestion of various foods. This dental specialization was a crucial development that set them apart from other animals of the time. Despite their small size, these early mammals were agile and adaptable. They likely lived in trees or burrows, avoiding the large predatory reptiles that dominated the landscape. Their keen senses, especially hearing and smell, helped them navigate the nocturnal world and find food in the dark. One of the most important characteristics of these early mammals was their ability to regulate their body temperature. This adaptation allowed them to remain active in cooler conditions when many reptiles became sluggish. While they were not yet the diverse group we see today, these small, furry creatures laid the foundation for the mammalian success story that would unfold over the next 200 million years. Marine reptiles evolved from land-dwelling ancestors over millions of years, gradually adapting to life in the water. This remarkable transition began during the Permian period, about 250 million years ago, and continued through the age of dinosaurs. The journey from land to sea involved numerous physical changes. Limbs transformed into flippers, enabling efficient swimming. Bodies became streamlined to reduce drag in the water. Some species developed fins and flukes for improved maneuverability. Nostrils moved to the top of the head, evolving into blowholes in some cases, allowing easier breathing at the water's surface. Sensory adaptations were crucial for survival in the aquatic environment. Enhanced vision helped in the darker underwater world, while some species developed electroreception to detect prey. Salt glands evolved to expel excess salt, solving the challenge of osmoregulation in marine habitats. These adaptations occurred across various reptile groups, including ichthyosaurs, plesiosaurs, and mosasaurs. Each group evolved unique features suited to their specific ecological niches. This diversity of marine reptiles dominated the oceans for millions of years, showcasing the incredible adaptability of life on Earth. Pterosaurs, the first vertebrates to achieve powered flight, emerged during the late Triassic period, approximately 220 million years ago. These early flying reptiles were small, about the size of a sparrow, with wingspans around 1 meter. They had elongated fingers, supporting membranous wings, similar to modern bats, but with a unique structure that set them apart from any living creature today. The earliest known pterosaur, Eudimorphodon, already displayed many of the characteristics that would define the group. It had hollow bones, a feature crucial for flight, and a large brain case, indicating well-developed senses. Their jaws were filled with sharp teeth, suggesting they were skilled hunters, likely preying on insects and small fish. Unlike modern birds, these early pterosaurs had long, stiff tails that may have helped with aerial maneuverability. They also possessed a unique bone called the pteroid, which supported a small membrane at the front of the wing, potentially aiding in flight control. Their bodies were covered in hair-like structures called pycnofibers, which may have helped with insulation and streamlining. As pterosaurs evolved, they diversified into a wide array of forms, from small insectivores to massive fish-eaters with wingspans over 10 meters. However, these early species laid the groundwork for one of the most successful groups of flying animals in Earth's history, dominating the skies for over 150 million years. The Triassic period, spanning from 252 to 201 million years ago, was a crucial time in Earth's history that laid the groundwork for the rise of dinosaurs. This era began in the aftermath of the devastating Permian-Triassic extinction, which had wiped out over 90% of marine species and 70% of terrestrial vertebrates. The mass extinction left ecological niches vacant, creating opportunities for new species to evolve and thrive. During the Triassic, the supercontinent Pangaea dominated the landscape, with its vast, arid interior and coastal regions. This unique geography influenced the evolution of land-dwelling creatures, pushing them to adapt to diverse environments. The climate was generally warm and dry, with seasonal monsoons affecting some areas. These conditions favored the development of new plant species, including conifers and cycads, which would later become important food sources for herbivorous dinosaurs. The Triassic saw the emergence of the archosaurs, a group that included the ancestors of dinosaurs, pterosaurs, and crocodilians. These early archosaurs were initially small and unassuming, but they possessed key anatomical features that would prove advantageous in the long run. Among these were improved locomotion, more efficient breathing systems, and enhanced skull structures. As the period progressed, these proto-dinosaurs began to diversify and occupy various ecological roles. By the late Triassic, the stage was set for the dinosaurs' dominance. The first true dinosaurs appeared, including small, bipedal carnivores and early herbivores. While not yet the dominant land animals, these early dinosaurs were poised to take advantage of the next major ecological shift. The Triassic-Jurassic extinction event at the end of the period would once again reset the ecological playing field, allowing dinosaurs to rise to prominence and usher in the Mesozoic era, often called the Age of Dinosaurs. The Triassic period marked a pivotal time in Earth's history, ushering in significant evolutionary advancements. Following the devastating Permian extinction, life rebounded with remarkable diversity and innovation. One of the most notable developments was the emergence of the first true mammals. These early mammals, known as cynodonts, were small, shrew-like creatures that would eventually give rise to all modern mammalian species. Alongside these proto-mammals, the first dinosaurs also appeared during the Triassic. These early dinosaurs were relatively small and unassuming compared to their later descendants, but they laid the foundation for the age of reptiles that would dominate the following periods. In the oceans, a group of marine reptiles called ichthyosaurs evolved. These streamlined, fish-like creatures became highly successful predators, filling niches left vacant by the extinction of many marine species. On land, the first turtles appeared, developing their characteristic protective shells. Plant life also underwent significant changes during the Triassic. The first true conifer trees emerged, along with cycads and ginkgos. These plants would go on to dominate terrestrial ecosystems for millions of years, providing new habitats and food sources for evolving animal species. The End Triassic extinction event, which occurred approximately 201 million years ago, was one of the most severe mass extinctions in Earth's history. This catastrophic event wiped out a significant portion of life on our planet, including many species of marine life, land animals, and plants. Scientists have identified a primary culprit for this extinction: massive volcanic eruptions. These eruptions took place in what is now known as the Central Atlantic Magmatic Province, an enormous area of volcanic rock that spans parts of North America, South America, Africa, and Europe. The volcanic activity unleashed tremendous amounts of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. This sudden influx of gases led to rapid global warming and ocean acidification. The warming climate disrupted ecosystems worldwide, while the acidification of the oceans proved particularly devastating for marine life, especially those with calcium carbonate shells or skeletons. The combination of these factors created a hostile environment that many species simply could not adapt to quickly enough. Additionally, the volcanic eruptions released sulfur dioxide, which formed acid rain and further stressed terrestrial ecosystems. The rapid environmental changes outpaced the ability of many species to evolve and adapt, leading to widespread extinctions across the globe. This event paved the way for the rise of dinosaurs in the subsequent Jurassic period, as they were able to fill the ecological niches left vacant by the extinct species. The End Triassic extinction was a catastrophic event that reshaped life on Earth around 201 million years ago. This mass extinction marked the boundary between the Triassic and Jurassic periods, wiping out a significant portion of species, both on land and in the oceans. In the marine realm, the extinction was particularly severe. It decimated reef-building organisms, causing a near-complete collapse of coral reef ecosystems. Many marine reptiles, including some early ichthyosaurs and plesiosaurs, vanished from the fossil record. Ammonites, a group of shelled cephalopods, were hit hard but managed to survive and later diversified. On land, the impact was equally profound. Large amphibians that had dominated freshwater environments for millions of years were largely wiped out. Many groups of reptiles, including some early crocodile relatives and several lineages of mammal-like reptiles, went extinct. This event cleared the way for dinosaurs to become the dominant terrestrial vertebrates in the following Jurassic period. Plant life also underwent significant changes. Many seed fern species disappeared, while conifers and ferns experienced a temporary decline before rebounding. This shift in vegetation had cascading effects on terrestrial ecosystems, altering food webs and habitats for surviving animal species. The Jurassic period, spanning from about 201 million to 145 million years ago, was a remarkable chapter in Earth's history. This era saw the dominance of dinosaurs, which had already emerged in the preceding Triassic period. Large herbivorous sauropods, such as Brachiosaurus and Diplodocus, roamed the land, while carnivorous theropods like Allosaurus ruled as apex predators. The Jurassic world was characterized by warm, humid climates and lush vegetation. Ferns, cycads, and conifers thrived, forming vast forests that provided ample food for the enormous herbivores. This period also witnessed the evolution of the first birds. with Archaeopteryx representing a crucial link between dinosaurs and modern avian species. In the oceans, marine reptiles such as ichthyosaurs and plesiosaurs dominated the waters. Ammonites, squid-like creatures with coiled shells, were abundant and diverse. The Jurassic seas also saw the emergence of modern fish groups, including ray-finned fishes and sharks. Perhaps most significantly, the Jurassic period marked the breakup of the supercontinent Pangaea. This tectonic activity led to the formation of new oceans and the gradual separation of land masses, setting the stage for the diverse ecosystems and biogeography we observe today. The Jurassic left an indelible mark on Earth's history, shaping the course of evolution and the planet's geology for millions of years to come. During the Jurassic period, the process of continental breakup that began in the Triassic continued with increased intensity. The supercontinent Pangaea, which had already started to fragment, experienced further rifting and separation. This ongoing tectonic activity led to the formation of new ocean basins and the reshaping of Earth's surface. The most significant development during this time was the widening of the Central Atlantic Ocean. As North America drifted away from Europe and Africa, the seafloor spread, creating new oceanic crust. This process gradually pushed the continents further apart, establishing the foundations of the Atlantic Ocean we know today. In the southern hemisphere, the separation between Africa and South America progressed, although they remained connected at their southern tips. Meanwhile, the landmass that would become India, Madagascar, and Antarctica began to break away from the eastern coast of Africa, initiating the formation of the Indian Ocean. The breakup of Pangaea during the Jurassic had profound effects on Earth's climate and ecosystems. As the continents drifted apart, new seaways opened, altering ocean currents and global climate patterns. This reshaping of the planet's geography played a crucial role in the evolution and distribution of Jurassic life, including the diverse array of dinosaurs that dominated terrestrial ecosystems during this period. The global climate during the early formation of Earth was drastically different from what we experience today. Our young planet was a hellish world, characterized by extreme heat and volatile conditions. The surface temperature soared to levels that would instantly vaporize water, with estimates suggesting it reached several hundred degrees Celsius. This scorching heat was primarily due to the frequent impacts of asteroids and comets, as well as the intense radioactive decay of elements within the Earth's interior. The atmosphere was thick and oppressive, composed mainly of carbon dioxide, water vapor, and nitrogen, with no free oxygen. Massive volcanic eruptions were commonplace, spewing gases and molten rock across the barren landscape. The oceans had not yet formed, as any water on the surface quickly evaporated into steam. Instead, the planet was covered in a sea of magma, constantly churning and reshaping the nascent crust. Violent storms raged across the sky, with lightning illuminating the dark, toxic clouds. As time progressed, the bombardment from space gradually decreased, allowing the planet to cool. This cooling marked the beginning of a long process that would eventually lead to the formation of the first oceans and the emergence of conditions more conducive to life as we know it. During the Jurassic period, which lasted from about 201 million to 145 million years ago, Earth's seas were vast and teeming with life. These ancient oceans covered significantly more of the planet's surface than our modern seas do today. The extensive Jurassic seas were the result of higher global temperatures and elevated sea levels. As the supercontinent Pangaea began to break apart, new oceans formed between the separating land masses. This period saw sea levels rise to approximately 100 meters higher than present-day levels, leading to the flooding of low-lying coastal areas and the creation of shallow epicontinental seas. These expansive marine environments fostered incredible biodiversity. The warm, shallow waters of the Jurassic seas became home to a wide array of marine life, including ammonites, belemnites, and various species of fish. Large marine reptiles such as ichthyosaurs, plesiosaurs, and plesiosaurs dominated these waters as apex predators. The Jurassic seas also played a crucial role in shaping the Earth's geology. The remains of countless marine organisms accumulated on the seafloor, eventually forming the limestone and chalk deposits we see in many parts of the world today. These ancient seabeds, now exposed as dry land, provide valuable insights into the extent and nature of the Jurassic marine world. The Jurassic period, spanning from about 201 million to 145 million years ago, saw a diverse array of plant life dominating the landscape. Gymnosperms, which are seed-bearing plants without flowers or fruits, were the most prevalent group during this time. Conifers, a type of gymnosperm, were particularly abundant and widespread. These included ancestors of modern-day pine, fir, and cypress trees. They formed vast forests across much of the land, creating complex ecosystems that supported a wide variety of dinosaurs and other animals. Cycads were another significant plant group in the Jurassic. These palm-like plants with stout trunks and crowns of large, compound leaves were common in many areas. Alongside cycads, ancient relatives of today's ginkgo trees also thrived, with their distinctive, fan-shaped leaves. Ferns and horsetails, while not as dominant as they were in earlier periods, still played an important role in Jurassic ecosystems. They often formed the understory in conifer forests or colonized disturbed areas. This diverse plant life created a world very different from our own, setting the stage for the evolution of flowering plants that would begin to appear towards the end of the Jurassic period. The evolution of flowering plants, scientifically known as angiosperms, marked a significant turning point in Earth's botanical history. This remarkable transformation began during the Cretaceous period, approximately 145 million years ago. At this time, the planet was experiencing dramatic changes in climate and geography, creating new opportunities for plant life to diversify and adapt. Flowering plants emerged from their predecessors, the gymnosperms, which include conifers and cycads. The key innovation of angiosperms was the development of flowers, specialized structures that facilitated more efficient reproduction. These early flowers were likely small and inconspicuous, but they represented a major leap forward in plant evolution. The success of flowering plants can be attributed to several factors. Their ability to produce fruits protected their seeds, aiding in dispersal by animals. They also developed more efficient vascular systems, allowing for better transport of water and nutrients. Additionally, the evolution of broad, flat leaves increased their capacity for photosynthesis, giving them an edge over their competitors. As flowering plants diversified, they formed mutually beneficial relationships with insects and other pollinators. This coevolution led to an explosion of new species, rapidly colonizing various habitats across the globe. By the end of the Cretaceous period, flowering plants had become the dominant form of plant life on Earth, a position they continue to hold today. The Jurassic period, spanning from about 201 million years ago to 145 million years ago, saw the rise and dominance of several major dinosaur groups. Among the most prominent were the long-necked sauropods, which included famous giants like Brachiosaurus and Diplodocus. These herbivores reached massive sizes, with some growing to lengths of over 30 meters. Alongside the sauropods, the Jurassic witnessed the diversification of theropods, the group of carnivorous dinosaurs that would eventually give rise to birds. Notable Jurassic theropods included the fearsome Allosaurus and the smaller but equally predatory Compsognathus. The Ornithischian dinosaurs also flourished during this time. This group included the plated Stegosaurus and the armored Ankylosaurs, both of which developed elaborate defensive structures to protect themselves from predators. The swift-footed ornithopods, such as Camptosaurus, began to evolve during this period as well. Pterosaurs, while not dinosaurs, were also significant components of Jurassic ecosystems. These flying reptiles diversified greatly, occupying various ecological niches in the skies above the dinosaur-dominated landscape. The Jurassic truly marked a golden age for dinosaur evolution, setting the stage for even greater diversity in the Cretaceous period that followed. Sauropods, the long-necked giants of the dinosaur world, evolved to reach their colossal sizes through a fascinating process of adaptation and natural selection. These remarkable creatures began as smaller, more nimble ancestors and gradually developed traits that allowed them to grow to enormous proportions over millions of years. One key factor in their evolution was their efficient digestive system. Sauropods developed specialized teeth for stripping vegetation and powerful gut bacteria to break down tough plant matter. This allowed them to extract maximum nutrition from their plant-based diet, fueling their massive growth. Their long necks evolved in tandem, enabling them to reach high into trees and access food sources other dinosaurs couldn't, further supporting their increasing size. Another crucial adaptation was their unique bone structure. Sauropods developed hollow bones filled with air sacs, similar to those found in modern birds. This made their skeletons lighter while maintaining strength, allowing them to support their massive bodies more efficiently. Their vertebrae also evolved to be lighter and stronger, with complex networks of air chambers that reduced weight without sacrificing durability. Sauropods also benefited from a high metabolism and rapid growth rate during their youth. This allowed them to reach their adult size quickly, reducing their vulnerability to predators. As they grew larger, they gained additional protection from predators and could better regulate their body temperature, further supporting their evolution towards gigantism. This combination of adaptations allowed sauropods to become some of the largest land animals ever to walk the Earth. The Jurassic period, spanning from about 201 million to 145 million years ago, was dominated by a variety of formidable apex predators. On land, the undisputed rulers were the large theropod dinosaurs. Among these, the Allosaurus stood out as one of the most fearsome hunters. Growing up to 33 feet long and weighing over 2 tons, Allosaurus was a swift and powerful carnivore with sharp, serrated teeth and strong, clawed hands. Another notable apex predator was Ceratosaurus, recognizable by its distinctive nasal horn and blade-like teeth. Though smaller than Allosaurus, it was no less deadly, using its powerful jaws to crush bone and tear flesh. In the later Jurassic, the massive Torvosaurus emerged, potentially reaching lengths of up to 39 feet, making it one of the largest known carnivorous dinosaurs of its time. The oceans of the Jurassic were equally perilous, ruled by giant marine reptiles. The long-necked plesiosaurs, with their powerful flippers and sharp teeth, were formidable hunters of fish and squid. However, the true terrors of the Jurassic seas were the pliosaurs, such as Leoplerodon and Pliosaurus. These creatures, with their enormous heads, massive jaws, and teeth the size of bananas, were the apex predators of the marine ecosystem. In the air, pterosaurs like Rhamphorhynchus patrolled the skies. Though they were not true apex predators in the same sense as their land and sea-dwelling counterparts, nevertheless, these flying reptiles were successful hunters in their own right, snatching fish from the water's surface and likely preying on smaller airborne creatures. The evolution of birds from theropod dinosaurs is a fascinating journey that spans millions of years. Theropods were a diverse group of bipedal dinosaurs that included famous predators like Tyrannosaurus rex. However, it was the smaller, more agile theropods that eventually gave rise to birds. This transformation began around 150 million years ago. Fossil evidence shows a gradual accumulation of bird-like features in certain theropod lineages. These adaptations included hollow bones, which made their skeletons lighter, and the development of feathers, which initially may have served for insulation or display rather than flight. One of the key transitional fossils is Archaeopteryx, which lived about 150 million years ago. This creature had a mix of dinosaur and bird characteristics, including teeth, a long bony tail, and clawed fingers, but also feathers and wings. It represents a crucial step in the evolution of flight. Over time, further adaptations appeared. Theropods developed a wishbone, which is important for flight muscles, and their wrists became more flexible, allowing for the flapping motion we see in modern birds. Their tails shortened, forming the pygostyle that supports tail feathers in today's birds. These gradual changes, driven by natural selection, eventually led to the diverse array of birds we see today, from hummingbirds to ostriches. The Jurassic seas teemed with an impressive array of marine reptiles, each adapted to life in the ancient oceans. Among the most prominent groups were the ichthyosaurs, plesiosaurs, and marine crocodiles. Ichthyosaurs were remarkable creatures that evolved a fish-like body shape, complete with a streamlined form and powerful tail flukes. These swift predators ranged in size from small dolphin-like forms to giants rivaling modern whales. With their large eyes and numerous teeth, ichthyosaurs were well equipped to hunt fish and squid-like creatures in the open ocean. Plesiosaurs were another diverse group, characterized by their long necks, small heads, and paddle-like limbs. These animals came in two main forms: the long-necked elasmosaurs and the short-necked pliosaurs. While elasmosaurs likely used their lengthy necks to snatch fish from shoals, pliosaurs were apex predators with massive skulls and powerful jaws, capable of tackling large prey. Marine crocodiles, or thalattosaucians, also flourished in Jurassic seas. Unlike their modern relatives, these ancient crocodiles were fully adapted to marine life. Some forms, like Metriorhynchus, had flippers and tail flukes, allowing them to pursue fast-swimming prey in open waters. These reptiles filled various ecological niches, from fish eaters to formidable predators that could challenge other large marine reptiles. Pterosaurs underwent a remarkable diversification during the Jurassic period, evolving from relatively small insectivores into a wide array of specialized forms. Early Jurassic pterosaurs were primarily small to medium-sized creatures with long tails and teeth adapted for catching insects and small prey. As the period progressed, these flying reptiles expanded into new ecological niches. One of the most significant developments was the emergence of filter-feeding pterosaurs. Species like Rhamphorhynchus evolved elongated snouts filled with needle-like teeth, perfect for snatching fish from the water's surface. This adaptation allowed them to exploit abundant marine food sources, leading to an explosion of pterosaur diversity in coastal and marine environments. Towards the end of the Jurassic, we see the appearance of the first truly giant pterosaurs. Creatures like Dorygnathus grew to impressive wingspans, paving the way for the enormous pterosaurs of the Cretaceous period. These larger forms likely fed on a variety of prey, from fish to small land animals. The Jurassic also saw pterosaurs developing more specialized wings and body shapes. Some evolved shorter, broader wings for increased maneuverability, while others developed longer, narrower wings for efficient gliding. This diversification in flight capabilities allowed pterosaurs to inhabit a wide range of environments and exploit various food sources, setting the stage for their continued success and further specialization in the following Cretaceous period. During the early stages of mammalian evolution, these creatures were vastly different from the diverse array of mammals we see today. The first true mammals emerged around 225 million years ago during the Triassic period, when dinosaurs were beginning to dominate the landscape. These early mammals were small, typically no larger than modern-day shrews or mice. They were primarily nocturnal, using the cover of darkness to avoid predation by the larger reptiles that ruled the daytime. Their bodies were covered in fur, providing insulation and helping to maintain a constant body temperature, a key characteristic that set them apart from their reptilian contemporaries. Most early mammals were insectivores, feeding on the abundant insects and other small invertebrates of the time. They had sharp teeth adapted for crushing exoskeletons and specialized ear bones that gave them an acute sense of hearing, allowing them to detect prey and predators in low-light conditions. Their enhanced olfactory abilities also played a crucial role in their survival and eventual diversification. Despite their small size and seemingly insignificant role in the ecosystem of the time, these early mammals possessed several evolutionary advantages. Their warm-blooded nature allowed them to remain active in cooler temperatures, and their ability to produce milk for their young provided a significant survival advantage. These traits, among others, would eventually allow mammals to flourish and diversify after the extinction of the dinosaurs, leading to the wide variety of mammalian species we see in the world today. Insects and other arthropods underwent significant evolution during the Jurassic period, which lasted from about 201 million to 145 million years ago. This era saw a remarkable diversification of these ancient creatures, building upon the foundations laid in earlier periods. The Jurassic witnessed the emergence of many modern insect groups. Beetles, which had already appeared in the Permian period, experienced a substantial adaptive radiation. They developed into numerous new species, occupying various ecological niches. Similarly, flies and moths became more prevalent, with early butterflies making their debut towards the end of this period. Dragonflies and damselflies, which had been around since the Carboniferous period, continued to thrive and evolve. Their wingspans grew larger, with some fossil specimens suggesting dragonflies reached sizes of up to 70 centimeters across. This gigantism was likely supported by the higher oxygen levels in the Jurassic atmosphere. Other arthropods, such as spiders and scorpions, also diversified during this time. The warm, humid climate of the Jurassic, coupled with the abundance of plant life, provided ideal conditions for arthropod evolution. These creatures played crucial roles in the complex ecosystems of the time, serving as pollinators, decomposers, and prey for larger animals, including the dinosaurs that dominated the landscape. The Jurassic period, spanning from about 201 million to 145 million years ago, was a time of significant geological activity on Earth. One of the most notable events was the continued breakup of the supercontinent Pangaea, which had begun in the late Triassic. This massive tectonic shift led to the formation of the North Atlantic Ocean as North America separated from Africa and Europe. During this period, sea levels were generally higher than they are today, resulting in extensive shallow seas, covering large portions of the continents. These warm, shallow waters provided ideal conditions for the formation of carbonate platforms, which later became important sources of petroleum and natural gas. The Jurassic also saw increased volcanic activity, particularly in what is now western North America. This volcanism contributed to the formation of the Sierra Nevada mountain range and played a role in shaping the landscape of the western United States. In other parts of the world, such as South America and Africa, large basaltic lava flows occurred, leaving behind significant geological formations. Another important geological feature of the Jurassic was the development of extensive coral reefs. These ancient reefs, some of which can still be seen today as exposed limestone formations, provide valuable insights into the marine ecosystems of the time and the changing climate of the Jurassic world. The Cretaceous period, spanning from 145 million years ago to 66 million years ago, was a time of significant change and diversity on Earth. This era saw the continents continuing to drift apart, creating new oceans and reshaping the planet's geography. The climate was considerably warmer than today, with no polar ice caps and sea levels much higher, leading to the formation of vast inland seas. Life during the Cretaceous was abundant and varied. The period is often called the Golden Age of dinosaurs, with iconic species like Tyrannosaurus rex and Triceratops roaming the land. In the skies, pterosaurs reached their peak diversity, while early birds began to evolve. The oceans teemed with life, including fearsome marine reptiles such as mosasaurs and plesiosaurs, as well as countless species of fish and invertebrates. Plant life underwent a revolution during this time, with the first appearance of flowering plants or angiosperms. These new plants quickly diversified and spread, transforming terrestrial ecosystems and providing new food sources for herbivorous animals. Forests were dominated by conifers, cycads, and ferns, creating lush, diverse landscapes across the globe. The Cretaceous period came to a dramatic end when a massive asteroid struck the Earth, causing global climate change and widespread extinctions. This event, known as the Cretaceous Paleogene extinction, wiped out approximately 75% of plant and animal species on Earth, including all non-avian dinosaurs. This catastrophic conclusion set the stage for the rise of mammals and the dawn of a new era in Earth's history. The continents we see today are the result of a process called plate tectonics, which has been shaping Earth's surface for billions of years. This remarkable journey began around 200 million years ago when all the land masses were joined together in a supercontinent called Pangaea. As the Earth's crust is divided into several large plates that float on the semi-molten rock beneath, these plates have been slowly moving, driven by convection currents in the mantle. Over millions of years, Pangaea began to break apart. The continents we know today gradually separated and drifted to their current positions. This movement continues even now, albeit at a very slow pace, typically a few centimeters per year. North America and Europe are moving apart as the Atlantic Ocean widens. Meanwhile, the Pacific Ocean is shrinking as the Americas move westward. India, once an island, collided with Asia, forming the Himalayas. These continental movements have had profound effects on Earth's climate and the evolution of life. They have created new oceans, mountain ranges, and have influenced global weather patterns. The process is ongoing, and in the distant future, Earth's continents will likely form new configurations, continuing the ever-changing face of our planet. The Cretaceous period, spanning from 145 million years ago to 66 million years ago, was characterized by a remarkably warm climate. Earth during this time was a greenhouse world, with global temperatures significantly higher than they are today. There were no ice caps at the poles, and sea levels were much higher, submerging large portions of what we now know as continents. Tropical and subtropical conditions extended far beyond their current boundaries, reaching into what are now temperate and even polar regions. Lush forests thrived in areas that are presently covered in ice, such as Antarctica. This warmth was partly due to elevated levels of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, estimated to be 4 to 8 times higher than present-day concentrations. The oceans of the Cretaceous were also much warmer. These balmy waters led to weaker global circulation patterns and less oxygenated deep waters. Despite this, marine life flourished, with the seas teeming with a diverse array of creatures, including mosasaurs, plesiosaurs, and giant marine reptiles. Weather patterns during the Cretaceous were likely more extreme than today. While the overall climate was warm and stable, there is evidence of intense storms and rainfall events. This climate supported a wide variety of plant and animal life, including the dominant land animals of the time, the dinosaurs, setting the stage for one of the most diverse and fascinating periods in Earth's history. Sea levels fluctuated dramatically throughout Earth's history, influenced by various factors including climate change and tectonic activity. During warmer periods, such as the Cretaceous era, sea levels were much higher than they are today. Vast inland seas covered large portions of continents, creating shallow marine environments teeming with life. As Earth transitioned into cooler periods, like the Pleistocene ice ages, sea levels dropped significantly. Massive amounts of water became locked up in ice sheets and glaciers, causing oceans to recede. This exposed continental shelves and created land bridges between continents, allowing for the migration of plants and animals. These sea level changes had profound effects on Earth's ecosystems and the evolution of life. Coastal habitats expanded and contracted, forcing species to adapt or migrate. Marine organisms faced challenges as their environment shifted, while terrestrial life forms encountered new opportunities and obstacles as land masses connected and separated. In more recent geological history, sea levels have continued to change, albeit on a smaller scale. The end of the last ice age about 12,000 years ago led to rising sea levels as ice melted, flooding coastal areas and creating the shorelines we recognize today. Understanding these past fluctuations helps scientists predict and prepare for future sea level changes in our warming world. The Cretaceous period saw a significant shift in plant life, marking the rise of flowering plants that would come to dominate the Earth. Angiosperms, or flowering plants, emerged and rapidly diversified during this time, becoming increasingly prevalent in many ecosystems. These early flowering plants coexisted with and gradually outcompeted many of the older plant groups. Gymnosperms, including conifers, cycads, and ginkgos, were still abundant during the early Cretaceous. Conifers, in particular, formed vast forests in many regions, much like they do in certain areas today. Cycads, with their palm-like appearance, were also common, especially in tropical and subtropical zones. Ferns and their relatives continued to thrive, particularly in the understory of forests and in wetter environments. These ancient plants had been around since long before the dinosaurs and managed to persist through the changes of the Cretaceous. Some groups of ferns even experienced a burst of diversification during this period. Towards the end of the Cretaceous, the balance had shifted decidedly in favor of the angiosperms. Their rapid evolution and spread changed the face of the planet, altering ecosystems and providing new food sources for various animal groups. This transformation set the stage for the plant world we see today, where flowering plants dominate most terrestrial ecosystems. Flowering plants, scientifically known as angiosperms, experienced a remarkable expansion during the Cretaceous period, approximately 145 to 66 million years ago. This rapid diversification and spread of flowering plants across the globe is often referred to as the Cretaceous radiation. Several factors contributed to the success of angiosperms during this time. Their ability to adapt quickly to different environments played a crucial role. Flowering plants developed a wide range of specialized structures, such as different leaf shapes and sizes, allowing them to thrive in various climates and habitats. The co-evolution of flowering plants with insect pollinators was another significant factor in their widespread success. This mutually beneficial relationship allowed for more efficient pollination and seed dispersal, giving angiosperms a competitive advantage over other plant groups. Furthermore, the development of fruits provided a new method of seed dispersal, allowing flowering plants to colonize new areas more effectively. This innovation, combined with their rapid reproductive cycle and ability to produce large numbers of seeds, enabled angiosperms to outcompete many other plant species and dominate terrestrial ecosystems by the end of the Cretaceous period. The Cretaceous period was a time of remarkable dinosaur diversity. Among the most prominent groups were the theropods, which included the fearsome Tyrannosaurus rex and the swift velociraptors. These carnivorous dinosaurs ranged from small, agile hunters to massive apex predators that dominated their ecosystems. Another significant group was the ornithischians, which encompassed a wide variety of herbivorous dinosaurs. This group included the duck-billed hadrosaurs, known for their elaborate head crests, and the heavily armored ankylosaurs with their club-like tails. The ceratopsians, such as Triceratops, were also part of this group, sporting impressive horns and frilled heads. The sauropods, enormous long-necked herbivores, continued to thrive in the Cretaceous. Although not as diverse as in earlier periods, species like Argentinosaurus reached staggering sizes, possibly growing up to 100 feet in length. These gentle giants played crucial roles in their ecosystems, shaping the landscape as they moved and fed. Lastly, the pterosaurs, while not dinosaurs, were important flying reptiles during this time. They ranged from small bat-sized creatures to the enormous Quetzalcoatlus with a wingspan of up to 36 feet. These diverse groups of prehistoric animals created a complex and fascinating world that ended with the mass extinction event at the close of the Cretaceous period. Tyrannosaurs evolved into apex predators through a fascinating journey spanning millions of years. Their lineage began in the Jurassic period as small, agile hunters. Over time, these early tyrannosaurs developed key adaptations that would eventually make them formidable predators. One crucial development was their powerful bite force. Tyrannosaurs evolved incredibly strong jaws and teeth, capable of crushing bone and tearing through tough hide. This adaptation allowed them to take down larger prey and exploit food sources other predators couldn't access. Another important factor was their keen senses. Tyrannosaurs developed excellent vision and an acute sense of smell, enabling them to detect prey from great distances. Their brains also grew larger over time, particularly in areas associated with sensory processing and predatory behavior. Perhaps most significantly, tyrannosaurs became larger. The earliest species were only about the size of a human, but later forms like Tyrannosaurus rex grew to enormous proportions. This increase in size, combined with their other adaptations, allowed tyrannosaurs to dominate their ecosystems and become the apex predators we know from the fossil record. The Cretaceous period was home to some truly remarkable dinosaurs that pushed the boundaries of what we typically imagine when we think of these ancient creatures. One standout was Therizinosaurus, a bizarre theropod with massive, meter-long claws on its hands. Despite its fearsome appearance, this gentle giant was likely a plant-eater, using its claws to pull down branches and defend itself. Another oddity was Deinocheirus, which remained a mystery for decades after only its enormous arms were discovered. When finally pieced together, it revealed itself as a humpbacked, duck-billed omnivore with a sail-like structure on its back. Equally strange was Yi Chi, a small dinosaur with bat-like wings made of skin stretched between elongated fingers, representing a unique and short-lived experiment in dinosaur flight. The armored Ankylosaurus was like a tank on 4 legs, covered in bony plates and wielding a club-like tail that could break bones. Meanwhile, Parasaurolophus sported a long, hollow crest on its head that may have been used to produce low-frequency sounds for communication over long distances. These unusual dinosaurs showcase the incredible diversity and adaptability of life during the Cretaceous. Each species evolved unique features to survive in their specific environments, resulting in a menagerie of strange and wonderful creatures that continue to captivate our imagination today. Marine reptiles in the Cretaceous period underwent significant evolutionary changes, adapting to their aquatic environment in remarkable ways. Ichthyosaurs, which had dominated the seas since the Triassic, began to decline and eventually went extinct. However, other groups like plesiosaurs and mosasaurs thrived and diversified. Plesiosaurs evolved into 2 distinct body types. The long-necked elasmosaurs developed even longer necks, some reaching up to 40 vertebrae, allowing them to sneak up on prey from below. The short-necked pliosaurs, on the other hand, became powerful apex predators with massive skulls and strong jaws. Mosasaurs, relatives of modern monitor lizards, emerged as the new dominant marine predators. They evolved streamlined bodies, paddle-like limbs, and shark-like tail flukes for efficient swimming. Their jaws became highly flexible, enabling them to swallow large prey whole, while their teeth adapted for different feeding strategies. These marine reptiles also developed improved sensory abilities. Many species evolved large eyes for better underwater vision, while others developed specialized organs for detecting pressure changes and electromagnetic fields. These adaptations allowed them to become highly successful hunters in the Cretaceous seas, filling various ecological niches and contributing to the rich biodiversity of the time. The skies of the Cretaceous period were dominated by remarkable flying reptiles known as pterosaurs. Among these, the largest and most impressive were the Azhdarchids, a family of pterosaurs that included some of the biggest flying animals ever to exist. The most famous of these giants was Quetzalcoatlus, named after the Aztec feathered serpent god. This colossal creature had a wingspan that reached up to 36 feet, making it wider than a small airplane. Alongside Quetzalcoatlus, other massive Azhdarchids soared through the Cretaceous skies. Hatzegopteryx, discovered in Romania, was another enormous flyer, with some estimates suggesting it might have been even larger than Quetzalcoatlus. These pterosaurs had long, stiffened necks and large, spear-like beaks, which they likely used to hunt prey on the ground. Despite their immense size, these creatures were remarkably light, with hollow bones and air-filled sacs that allowed them to take to the skies. Scientists believe they could launch themselves into the air using their powerful hind limbs and wing muscles, much like modern vampire bats. Once airborne, they were likely skilled gliders, using air currents to travel long distances with minimal energy expenditure. The reign of these enormous flying reptiles came to an end with the mass extinction event that marked the close of the Cretaceous period. Their disappearance left the skies open for the eventual rise of birds as the dominant flying creatures of the following eras. The diversification of early birds during the Cretaceous period was a remarkable evolutionary journey. As the descendants of small, feathered dinosaurs, these ancient avians began to explore new ecological niches and adapt to various environments. One key factor in their diversification was the development of different beak shapes. Some early birds evolved specialized beaks for cracking seeds, while others developed long, thin beaks for probing flowers or catching insects. This variation in beak morphology allowed different species to exploit diverse food sources, reducing competition and enabling them to thrive in various habitats. Flight capabilities also played a crucial role in bird diversification. Some early birds became more adept at powered flight, allowing them to cover greater distances and colonize new areas. Others adapted to specific flight styles, such as soaring or rapid maneuvering, which helped them occupy unique ecological roles. The expansion of flowering plants during this time provided new opportunities for early birds. As angiosperms spread across the landscape, they offered new food sources and habitats. Some bird species co-evolved with these plants, developing specialized feeding and nesting behaviors that further drove their diversification and success in the changing Cretaceous world. During the Cretaceous period, mammals were small and unassuming creatures living in the shadow of the dinosaurs. Most were no larger than modern-day rats or squirrels, with the largest being about the size of a badger. These early mammals were primarily nocturnal, using the cover of darkness to avoid predation by their larger reptilian neighbors. Despite their diminutive size, Cretaceous mammals were remarkably diverse. They included early ancestors of modern marsupials and placental mammals, as well as now extinct lineages like multituberculates. These ancient mammals had already developed key features such as hair, warm blood, and the ability to produce milk for their young. Many Cretaceous mammals were insectivores, feeding on the abundant insects of the time. Others had evolved to be omnivorous, supplementing their diet with fruits, seeds, and small vertebrates. Some even developed specialized teeth for crushing hard plant material or slicing through meat. Interestingly, it was during the Cretaceous that mammals first began to diversify their ear structures, leading to improved hearing. This adaptation likely gave them an advantage in detecting predators and prey in low-light conditions. While they may have seemed insignificant at the time, these small, resourceful creatures were poised to inherit the Earth after the extinction of the dinosaurs at the end of the Cretaceous period. The relationship between insects and flowering plants is a remarkable example of coevolution, spanning over 100 million years. This intricate dance of adaptation began in the Cretaceous period when flowering plants, also known as angiosperms, first appeared on Earth. As flowering plants developed, they faced a crucial challenge: how to spread their genetic material efficiently. Insects, already abundant and diverse, presented an opportunity. The plants began producing nectar, a sugary liquid that attracted insects, and developed colorful petals to signal the presence of this nutritious reward. In turn, insects that could detect and utilize these new food sources gained an advantage. This mutual benefit drove rapid changes in both groups. Plants evolved a wide array of flower shapes, colors, and scents to attract specific insect pollinators. Insects, in response, developed specialized mouthparts to access nectar, and their bodies became adapted to carry pollen between flowers. Some insects, like bees, even evolved specialized structures to collect and transport pollen deliberately. The coevolution of insects and flowering plants led to an explosion of diversity in both groups. Today, flowering plants dominate terrestrial ecosystems, while insects are the most diverse group of animals on Earth. This ancient partnership continues to shape our world, influencing everything from global food production to the vibrant colors of our gardens. The end Cretaceous mass extinction, which occurred approximately 66 million years ago, was primarily caused by the catastrophic impact of a massive asteroid. This celestial body, estimated to be about 10 kilometers in diameter, struck the Earth near what is now the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico. The impact site, known as the Chicxulub crater, spans roughly 180 kilometers in diameter. When this enormous asteroid collided with our planet, it unleashed a series of devastating global effects. The impact vaporized rock and released an immense amount of debris into the atmosphere, blocking sunlight and causing a prolonged period of darkness and cooling. This dramatic climate shift disrupted photosynthesis and collapsed food chains worldwide. The collision also triggered massive wildfires, releasing toxic gases and particulates into the air. Acid rain became prevalent, and the oceans experienced rapid acidification. These combined effects created an environment hostile to life, leading to the extinction of approximately 75% of plant and animal species on Earth, including most dinosaurs. While the asteroid impact is considered the primary cause, some scientists argue that other factors may have contributed to the mass extinction. These include intense volcanic activity in the Deccan Traps of India, which released large amounts of greenhouse gases and potentially weakened ecosystems before the impact. However, the asteroid strike remains the most widely accepted main driver of this pivotal extinction event in Earth's history. Earth's climate underwent significant transformations during the period from 400 million to 66 million years ago. This vast stretch of time, encompassing much of the Paleozoic and Mesozoic eras, saw dramatic shifts in global temperatures, atmospheric composition, and sea levels. At the start of this period, Earth was emerging from a major ice age. As the planet warmed, sea levels rose, flooding many coastal areas and creating vast, shallow seas. The climate became generally warm and stable, with temperatures higher than today's averages. This warmth allowed diverse life forms to flourish, including the first land plants and early fish. As time progressed, the climate continued to fluctuate. The Carboniferous period, around 300 million years ago, saw the Earth cool again, with extensive glaciations at the poles. However, this cooling was followed by another warming trend in the Permian period. This warming culminated in one of the hottest and driest climates in Earth's history, contributing to the devastating end Permian extinction event. Moving into the Mesozoic era, the climate once again warmed significantly. The Triassic, Jurassic, and Cretaceous periods were characterized by consistently high temperatures and elevated carbon dioxide levels. This greenhouse climate, with its lack of polar ice caps and high sea levels, created ideal conditions for the rise and dominance of dinosaurs. By the end of this period, around 66 million years ago, the Earth was significantly warmer than it is today, setting the stage for the dramatic changes that would follow in the Cenozoic era. During the early stages of Earth's formation, several key factors shaped the planet's climate. Intense volcanic activity played a crucial role, spewing vast quantities of gases into the atmosphere. These volcanic emissions, primarily carbon dioxide, created a potent greenhouse effect, trapping heat and warming the young planet. The early sun, though less luminous than today, still provided significant energy input. However, its radiation interacted with an atmosphere vastly different from our current one, lacking oxygen and dominated by greenhouse gases. This interaction further contributed to the extreme and volatile climate conditions of early Earth. Frequent impacts from asteroids and comets also influenced the climate. These collisions released enormous amounts of energy, vaporizing rock and injecting dust and gases into the atmosphere. Such events could cause rapid, short-term climate fluctuations, alternating between periods of extreme heat and cooling. The absence of life and lack of oxygen in the atmosphere meant that many of the climate-regulating processes we see today were not yet in place. Without plants to absorb carbon dioxide or an ozone layer to block harmful ultraviolet radiation, the early Earth experienced climate conditions that would be inhospitable by modern standards. These factors combined to create a dynamic and ever-changing climate system as our planet took its first steps toward becoming the world we know today. Throughout Earth's history, atmospheric carbon dioxide levels have undergone significant fluctuations. During the Carboniferous period, roughly 300 million to 360 million years ago, carbon dioxide levels were exceptionally low. This was due to the proliferation of land plants that absorbed vast amounts of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Moving forward in time, the Permian period saw a gradual increase in carbon dioxide levels. This rise continued through the Triassic and Jurassic periods, reaching a peak during the early Cretaceous period, approximately 145 million years ago. At this time, carbon dioxide concentrations were several times higher than they are today. Following this peak, carbon dioxide levels generally declined over millions of years. The Paleocene-Eocene thermal maximum, about 56 million years ago, marked a notable spike in carbon dioxide, likely due to the release of methane from ocean sediments. This event caused rapid global warming and significant changes in Earth's ecosystems. In more recent geological history, the Earth has experienced cycles of glacial and interglacial periods. During glacial periods, carbon dioxide levels were lower, while interglacial periods saw higher concentrations. These natural fluctuations have played a crucial role in Earth's climate history, influencing global temperatures and the distribution of life across the planet. Carbon dioxide levels in Earth's atmosphere have played a crucial role in shaping our planet's climate throughout its history. As a greenhouse gas, carbon dioxide traps heat in the atmosphere, leading to warmer global temperatures when its concentration increases. Over millions of years, Earth has experienced significant fluctuations in carbon dioxide levels, resulting in dramatic climate shifts. During periods of higher carbon dioxide concentrations, such as the Cretaceous period around 100 million years ago, global temperatures were much warmer than today. This created a world with less ice, higher sea levels, and different ecosystems. Conversely, times of lower carbon dioxide levels have been associated with cooler global temperatures. The most recent ice ages, occurring over the past 2 million years, coincided with lower atmospheric carbon dioxide concentrations. These periods saw vast ice sheets covering large parts of North America and Europe, with global temperatures several degrees cooler than present day. In recent history, human activities have rapidly increased atmospheric carbon dioxide levels, primarily through the burning of fossil fuels. This sharp rise has led to the current trend of global warming, with temperatures increasing at a rate unseen in Earth's recent geological past. The impact of these changing carbon dioxide levels serves as a stark reminder of the delicate balance that governs our planet's climate system. Earth's atmosphere has undergone remarkable transformations since our planet's formation. In its earliest days, the atmosphere contained virtually no oxygen. Instead, it was primarily composed of hydrogen and helium, remnants from the solar nebula that formed our solar system. As Earth cooled, volcanic activity became a major influence on atmospheric composition. Volcanoes released gases like carbon dioxide, water vapor, and nitrogen. This shift marked the beginning of a more complex atmosphere, but one still devoid of significant oxygen. The game changer arrived with the evolution of photosynthetic organisms, particularly cyanobacteria, about 3.5 billion years ago. These microorganisms began producing oxygen as a byproduct of photosynthesis. However, for nearly 2 billion years, this oxygen was quickly absorbed by the oceans and reacted with iron and other elements on the Earth's surface. It was only around 2.5 billion years ago that oxygen levels in the atmosphere began to rise significantly. This period, known as the Great Oxidation Event, marked a fundamental shift in Earth's atmosphere. Oxygen levels continued to increase, albeit with fluctuations, eventually reaching the levels we experience today, where oxygen makes up about 21% of our atmosphere. Oxygen levels on Earth have fluctuated dramatically over the planet's history, profoundly influencing the evolution of animal life. During the Carboniferous period, around 300 million years ago, atmospheric oxygen reached its highest known level, estimated at 35% compared to today's 21%. This oxygen-rich environment allowed insects and other arthropods to grow to enormous sizes. Dragonflies with wingspans of over 2 feet and millipedes longer than a human are just 2 examples of the giants that thrived in this oxygen-saturated world. The abundance of oxygen also facilitated the development of more complex respiratory systems in vertebrates. This paved the way for the evolution of larger, more active animals with higher metabolic rates. The first reptiles emerged during this period. setting the stage for the later dominance of dinosaurs and the eventual rise of mammals. Conversely, periods of lower oxygen levels have also shaped animal evolution. The end Permian extinction event, the largest mass extinction in Earth's history, coincided with a significant drop in atmospheric oxygen. This dramatic change favored animals with more efficient respiratory systems and those able to extract oxygen from water, like certain amphibians and fish. These oxygen fluctuations have acted as a powerful selective force throughout evolutionary history. They have influenced not only the size and metabolic capabilities of animals, but also their distribution across different habitats and their ability to colonize new environments. The complex interplay between oxygen levels and animal evolution continues to shape life on Earth today, with current and future changes in atmospheric composition potentially driving new evolutionary adaptations. The movement of continents over millions of years has profoundly shaped our planet's climate patterns. As land masses shifted, they altered ocean currents, atmospheric circulation, and the distribution of heat across the globe. One of the most significant impacts occurred when the supercontinent Pangaea began to break apart about 200 million years ago. This separation created new ocean basins and changed the flow of warm and cold water currents. For instance, the formation of the Atlantic Ocean allowed the Gulf Stream to develop, carrying warm water from the tropics to northern latitudes and influencing the climate of Western Europe. The collision of India with Asia, which began about 50 million years ago, led to the formation of the Himalayas. This massive mountain range altered atmospheric circulation patterns and intensified the Asian monsoon system. The uplift of the Tibetan Plateau also played a crucial role in global cooling by increasing the weathering of rocks, which removed carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. More recently, the formation of the Isthmus of Panama, about 3 million years ago, had a significant impact on global climate. This narrow strip of land connecting North and South America blocked the flow of water between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, redirecting ocean currents and contributing to the intensification of the Gulf Stream. This change is believed to have played a role in the onset of the ice ages that have characterized the past few million years of Earth's history. Earth's past climate has left behind numerous clues that scientists use to piece together a picture of ancient environmental conditions. Ice cores extracted from polar regions and high mountain glaciers provide a wealth of information. These frozen time capsules contain trapped air bubbles, dust particles, and chemical isotopes that reveal atmospheric composition, temperature, and precipitation patterns stretching back hundreds of thousands of years. Sediment cores from ocean floors and lake beds offer another valuable source of evidence. These layers of accumulated material contain fossilized microorganisms, pollen grains, and chemical signatures that reflect past ocean temperatures, salinity levels, and vegetation patterns on land. Tree rings serve as natural climate recorders, with their width and density indicating yearly growing conditions influenced by temperature and rainfall. Geological formations also hold climate secrets. Ancient coral reefs, for instance, can be analyzed to determine past sea levels and water temperatures. Rock formations shaped by glaciers or wind-blown sand dunes provide insights into periods of extensive ice coverage or arid conditions. Fossil records of plants and animals offer additional clues as species distributions shift in response to changing climates. By combining these diverse lines of evidence, scientists can reconstruct a detailed history of Earth's climate over millions of years. This understanding of past climate variations helps researchers better predict and prepare for future climate changes, highlighting the crucial role of paleoclimatology in our quest to comprehend Earth's complex climate system. Sea levels have undergone significant fluctuations throughout Earth's history, driven by various factors including climate change and geological processes. During the last ice age, which peaked around 20,000 years ago, sea levels were much lower than they are today. Vast amounts of water were locked up in massive ice sheets that covered large parts of North America and Europe. As the planet began to warm and the ice age came to an end, these enormous ice sheets started to melt. This process released huge volumes of water back into the oceans, causing sea levels to rise dramatically. Over a period of several thousand years, global sea levels increased by approximately 120 meters. This rise in sea levels was not constant or uniform. There were periods of rapid increase, known as meltwater pulses, where sea levels could rise by several meters in just a century. These rapid changes had profound effects on coastal landscapes and ecosystems, reshaping shorelines and creating new marine habitats. In more recent times, sea levels have continued to rise, albeit at a slower rate. However, with the onset of human-induced climate change, we are now seeing an acceleration in sea level rise. This modern increase is driven not only by melting ice sheets and glaciers, but also by thermal expansion of the oceans as they absorb more heat from the atmosphere. Sea level changes have profoundly influenced both marine and terrestrial life throughout Earth's history. These fluctuations, driven by factors such as climate change and tectonic activity, have reshaped coastlines and altered ecosystems on a global scale. For marine life, rising sea levels created new habitats as shallow seas flooded continental shelves. This expansion of marine environments allowed for the proliferation of coral reefs, seagrass meadows, and other coastal ecosystems. Many marine species thrived in these new areas, leading to increased biodiversity. Conversely, falling sea levels exposed vast stretches of seafloor, causing mass extinctions of marine organisms unable to adapt to the rapidly changing conditions. On land, rising seas inundated coastal areas, forcing terrestrial species to migrate inland or face extinction. This led to the evolution of new adaptations and behaviors as animals and plants sought higher ground. Falling sea levels had the opposite effect, exposing new land bridges that allowed species to colonize previously isolated areas. These connections facilitated the spread of plants and animals across continents, reshaping the distribution of life on Earth. The impact of sea level changes continues to be felt today, with current rising seas threatening coastal ecosystems and human settlements alike. Understanding the historical effects of these fluctuations provides valuable insights into how life on Earth may respond to ongoing and future climate change. Earth's axial tilt and orbit have played a crucial role in shaping our planet's climate over millions of years. These astronomical factors, known as Milankovitch cycles, cause long-term variations in the amount and distribution of solar energy reaching Earth's surface. The tilt of Earth's axis, currently at about 23.5 degrees, wobbles between 22 and 24.5 degrees over a cycle of about 41,000 years. When the tilt is greater, seasonal differences become more pronounced, with hotter summers and colder winters. This increased tilt can lead to the growth of ice sheets in higher latitudes, as cooler summers fail to melt all the winter snow. Earth's orbital shape also changes over time, varying from nearly circular to more elliptical over a period of about 100,000 years. A more elliptical orbit results in greater differences between the closest and farthest points from the Sun, intensifying seasonal extremes. Additionally, Earth's rotational axis slowly traces a circle in space, completing one cycle every 26,000 years. This precession alters which hemisphere faces the Sun at the closest and farthest orbital points, further influencing seasonal patterns. These cyclic changes in Earth's movement have contributed to the alternating periods of glaciation and warming that characterize Earth's climate history. Ice ages have coincided with times when these cycles aligned to reduce solar energy in critical northern latitudes during summer, allowing ice sheets to grow and persist. Understanding these long-term astronomical influences helps scientists better interpret Earth's past climate and predict future trends. Volcanic activity has been a powerful force in shaping Earth's climate throughout its history. Massive eruptions have injected enormous quantities of gases and particles into the atmosphere, dramatically altering global temperatures and weather patterns for years or even decades. When volcanoes erupt, they release sulfur dioxide, which combines with water vapor in the atmosphere to form sulfuric acid aerosols. These aerosols reflect sunlight back into space, causing a cooling effect on Earth's surface. The eruption of Mount Pinatubo in 1991, for example, led to a global temperature drop of about half a degree Celsius for several years. However, volcanoes also release carbon dioxide, a greenhouse gas that can contribute to long-term warming. Over millions of years, volcanic carbon dioxide emissions have played a crucial role in maintaining Earth's habitable temperature range. Without this volcanic input, our planet might have become a frozen wasteland. Volcanic ash and gases can also affect precipitation patterns and ocean chemistry. The minerals in volcanic ash can fertilize oceans, stimulating plankton growth and potentially altering marine ecosystems and carbon cycles. This complex interplay between volcanism and climate has been a key factor in Earth's environmental evolution, influencing the development and extinction of species throughout our planet's history. The formation and breakup of supercontinents had profound effects on global climate throughout Earth's history. When land masses merged to form supercontinents, it dramatically altered ocean currents and atmospheric circulation patterns. These changes led to more extreme temperature variations across the planet. During supercontinent periods, vast interior regions experienced severe continental climates with scorching summers and frigid winters. Coastal areas became scarce, reducing the moderating influence of oceans on temperature. This resulted in widespread aridity in continental interiors, creating extensive deserts and reducing global biodiversity. The breakup of supercontinents, conversely, led to increased rainfall and more moderate temperatures. As land masses separated, new ocean basins formed, altering ocean circulation and distributing heat more evenly across the planet. This often triggered periods of global warming and increased humidity, promoting the spread of lush vegetation and diverse ecosystems. These cycles of supercontinent formation and breakup have been linked to major climate events in Earth's past, including ice ages and greenhouse periods. The movement of continents continues to shape our climate today, influencing weather patterns, ocean currents, and the distribution of life on our planet. Throughout Earth's history, our planet has experienced several major ice ages, periods when global temperatures dropped significantly and vast ice sheets covered large portions of the continents. During the Pleistocene epoch, which began about 2.6 million years ago and ended around 11,700 years ago, Earth underwent numerous glacial and interglacial cycles. The most recent major ice age, often referred to as the last glacial maximum, occurred approximately 26,000 to 19,000 years ago. During this time, massive ice sheets extended across North America, Northern Europe, and parts of Asia. Sea levels were much lower, exposing land bridges that allowed human migration across continents. These ice ages were primarily driven by variations in Earth's orbit and axis tilt, known as Milankovitch cycles. These cycles affect the amount and distribution of solar energy reaching Earth's surface, leading to long-term climate fluctuations. When less solar energy reaches higher latitudes, it allows ice and snow to accumulate, reflecting more sunlight and further cooling the planet in a feedback loop. Other factors contributing to ice ages include changes in atmospheric carbon dioxide levels, variations in ocean currents, and the positioning of continents. Volcanic eruptions and changes in solar activity may have also played roles in triggering or intensifying these cold periods. Understanding these past climate shifts helps scientists better predict and prepare for future climate changes. Climate change has been a powerful force shaping the evolution and extinction of species throughout Earth's history. As temperatures and weather patterns shift, organisms face new challenges that drive adaptation or lead to their demise. During periods of gradual climate change, species often evolve to better suit their changing environments. This process of natural selection favors individuals with traits that enhance survival and reproduction under new conditions. For instance, as Earth cooled during past ice ages, many animals developed thicker fur coats and larger body sizes to conserve heat more effectively. However, rapid climate changes can outpace the ability of species to adapt, leading to extinctions. The end Permian extinction, Earth's most severe mass extinction event, is believed to have been triggered by extreme global warming. This catastrophic climate shift, likely caused by massive volcanic eruptions, wiped out over 90% of marine species and 70% of terrestrial vertebrate species. Climate change also influences species indirectly by altering ecosystems and food webs. As temperatures warm, some plants and animals migrate to new habitats, disrupting existing ecological relationships. Species that cannot move or adapt quickly enough may face increased competition, loss of food sources, or new predators, potentially leading to their extinction. This complex interplay between climate and ecosystems continues to shape the diversity of life on Earth today. The theory of plate tectonics fundamentally transformed our comprehension of Earth's geological processes and history. This groundbreaking concept explained how our planet's surface is composed of large, rigid plates that move and interact with one another over millions of years. Before plate tectonics, scientists struggled to explain many geological phenomena, such as the formation of mountains, the occurrence of earthquakes, and the distribution of fossils across continents. The theory provided a unifying framework that connected these seemingly disparate observations. Plate tectonics revealed that the Earth's crust is constantly in motion, driven by convection currents in the mantle below. This movement causes plates to collide, separate, and slide past each other, resulting in the formation of mountain ranges, ocean basins, and volcanic activity. It also explained the phenomenon of continental drift, first proposed by Alfred Wegener, which had previously been dismissed by the scientific community. The theory of plate tectonics not only revolutionized our understanding of Earth's present-day processes, but also provided insights into its past. It allowed scientists to reconstruct the positions of continents throughout Earth's history, shedding light on past climates, the evolution and distribution of species, and the formation of mineral deposits. This new understanding has had far-reaching implications for fields beyond geology, including biology, climatology, and even the search for life on other planets. The theory of continental drift, first proposed by Alfred Wegener in the early 20th century, is supported by a wealth of compelling evidence. Geological observations reveal matching rock formations and fossil records on continents now separated by vast oceans. For instance, identical plant and animal fossils have been discovered in South America and Africa, suggesting these land masses were once connected. The shapes of the continents themselves provide another clue. The eastern coast of South America and the western coast of Africa fit together like pieces of a giant puzzle, hinting at their former union. This jigsaw-like fit extends to other continents as well, supporting the idea that they were once part of a single supercontinent. Paleomagnetic studies offer further evidence. By examining the magnetic orientation of ancient rocks, scientists can determine the latitude at which they formed. These studies show that continents have indeed moved over time, sometimes by thousands of kilometers. Additionally, the discovery of seafloor spreading at mid-ocean ridges in the 1960s provided a mechanism for continental movement, solidifying the theory of plate tectonics, which encompasses continental drift. Today, modern satellite technology allows us to measure continental movement directly. We can now observe continents drifting apart at rates of a few centimeters per year, providing real-time confirmation of this once controversial theory. This convergence of evidence from multiple scientific disciplines has transformed continental drift from a speculative idea to a fundamental principle of Earth science. The movement of continents during the period from 400 million to 66 million years ago was a slow but dramatic process. This era, known as the Paleozoic and Mesozoic, saw significant changes in the Earth's surface. At the start of this period, most of the world's land masses were clustered together in a supercontinent called Pangaea. Over millions of years, tectonic forces began to pull this giant landmass apart. The process started with the formation of a rift down the center of Pangaea, eventually splitting it into two major continents, Laurasia in the north and Gondwana in the south. As time progressed, these continents continued to break apart and drift. Gondwana, the southern landmass, began to separate into what would become Africa, South America, Australia, Antarctica, and India. Meanwhile, Laurasia split into North America and Eurasia. The movement was driven by the constant motion of tectonic plates pushed and pulled by convection currents in the Earth's mantle. By the end of this period, the continents were approaching their modern positions, though still not quite where we find them today. The Atlantic Ocean had widened significantly, while the Pacific Ocean had shrunk. India was racing northward towards Asia, setting the stage for the formation of the Himalayas. This continental dance laid the groundwork for the diverse landscapes and ecosystems we see in the modern world. At the dawn of the Devonian period, approximately 419 million years ago, Earth's landmasses were arranged quite differently from today. The majority of the planet's continental crust was concentrated into two main supercontinents, with several smaller landmasses scattered across the globe. The largest supercontinent, known as Gondwana, occupied much of the southern hemisphere. This massive landmass comprised what would eventually become Africa, South America, Antarctica, Australia, and parts of Asia. Gondwana was a diverse continent with a variety of environments, from tropical coastlines to arid interiors. In the northern hemisphere, another substantial landmass called Euramerica or Laurasia was forming. This continent, sometimes referred to as the Old Red Continent due to its characteristic red sandstone deposits, was created by the collision of three smaller continents: Laurentia, Baltica, and Avalonia. Euramerica stretched across what would later become North America, Greenland, and much of Europe. Several smaller continents and microcontinents existed as well, including Siberia and parts of what would become China. These landmasses were separated by vast oceans, setting the stage for the diverse marine ecosystems that would flourish during the Devonian period. The formation of Pangaea was a gradual process that unfolded over millions of years. This supercontinent, which existed approximately 300 million years ago, came into being through the slow movement of Earth's tectonic plates. The story of Pangaea begins with the breakup of an earlier supercontinent called Rodinia, which existed about 1 billion years ago. As Rodinia fragmented, the resulting landmasses drifted across the globe, driven by the constant motion of Earth's mantle beneath the crust. Over time, these continents began to converge once again. The collision of several major landmasses marked the primary stages of Pangaea's formation. The continent we now call North America collided with Europe, while South America, Africa, and the Indian subcontinent merged with Antarctica and Australia. This convergence was driven by powerful forces within the Earth, including convection currents in the mantle and the pull of subducting oceanic plates. As these continents came together, they formed mountain ranges along their collision zones. The Appalachian Mountains in North America and the Ural Mountains in Russia are remnants of these ancient collisions, standing as testament to the immense forces involved in the creation of Pangaea. The breakup of Pangaea was driven by powerful geological forces that continue to shape our planet today. Convection currents in Earth's mantle, the layer beneath the crust, played a crucial role. These currents, fueled by heat from the planet's core, created areas of upwelling and downwelling that exerted tremendous pressure on the supercontinent. Plate tectonics, the theory describing the movement of Earth's lithospheric plates, was the primary mechanism behind Pangaea's fragmentation. As the mantle convection currents pushed and pulled on different parts of the supercontinent, rifts began to form. These rifts gradually widened, allowing magma to rise and create new oceanic crust. The process of continental drift, powered by these tectonic forces, slowly tore Pangaea apart. Over millions of years, the rifts expanded into vast oceans, separating the landmasses we know today. The Atlantic Ocean, for instance, formed as North America and Europe drifted apart. Gravitational forces also contributed to Pangaea's breakup. As the supercontinent moved, changes in mass distribution affected Earth's rotation, further influencing the movement of tectonic plates. These combined forces ultimately reshaped the face of our planet, creating the diverse continents and oceans we see today. The movement of continents over millions of years has profoundly influenced ocean currents and global climate patterns. As land masses shifted, they altered the shape and size of ocean basins, creating new pathways for water circulation while closing off others. This reshaping of the seas had far-reaching effects on how heat is distributed around the planet. One of the most significant examples is the formation of the Antarctic Circumpolar Current. When South America separated from Antarctica around 30 million years ago, it opened up the Drake Passage. This allowed for the development of a powerful current that circles the Antarctic continent, effectively isolating it from warmer waters and contributing to its current ice-covered state. The closure of the Isthmus of Panama, connecting North and South America about 3 million years ago, also had dramatic effects. It blocked the direct flow between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, intensifying the Gulf Stream. This strengthened current brought more warm water to the North Atlantic, potentially influencing the onset of the ice ages by increasing moisture supply for snow formation. These continental movements have not only affected ocean currents, but also impacted atmospheric circulation, precipitation patterns, and the distribution of plant and animal species. The complex interplay between shifting land masses, ocean currents, and climate continues to shape our planet's environmental systems to this day. During the Cretaceous period, several significant mountain-building events reshaped Earth's landscape. The Rocky Mountains began their dramatic uplift, rising from a series of basins and plains to form the majestic range we see today. This process, known as the Laramide orogeny, continued well into the early Cenozoic era. In South America, the Andes Mountains were also taking shape. The ongoing subduction of the Nazca Plate beneath the South American plate caused intense volcanic activity and uplift along the western edge of the continent. This process laid the foundation for what would become one of the world's longest mountain chains. Across the Atlantic, the Alpine orogeny was in its early stages. The collision between the African and Eurasian plates initiated the formation of the Alps, Pyrenees, and other mountain ranges across southern Europe. This massive geological event would continue long after the Cretaceous, shaping much of the European landscape we recognize today. In Asia, the northward movement of the Indian subcontinent was setting the stage for one of the most dramatic collisions in Earth's history. While the full impact would not be felt until the Cenozoic, the groundwork for the formation of the Himalayas was being laid during this time, promising future geological marvels. The opening of the Atlantic Ocean began approximately 200 million years ago during the breakup of the supercontinent Pangaea. This monumental geological process started with the formation of a rift valley between what would become North America and Africa. As the Earth's crust stretched and thinned, magma from the mantle rose to fill the gaps, creating new oceanic crust. The initial rifting was slow, but over millions of years, the continents continued to drift apart. This separation was driven by convection currents in the Earth's mantle, which caused the tectonic plates to move. As the plates moved, the space between them widened, allowing more magma to rise and form new seafloor. The Mid-Atlantic Ridge, an underwater mountain chain, formed along this divergent boundary. This ridge continues to be an active site of seafloor spreading, where new oceanic crust is constantly being created. As the ridge pushes out new material, it forces the older crust to move away from the ridge, further widening the Atlantic Ocean. This ongoing process of continental drift and seafloor spreading has shaped the Atlantic Ocean we know today. It continues to widen the ocean by several centimeters each year, slowly but steadily changing the face of our planet. The Tethys Sea was an ancient ocean that existed between the continents of Gondwana and Laurasia during the Mesozoic era. This vast body of water stretched from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific, covering much of what is now southern Europe, North Africa, and southern Asia. Over millions of years, the Tethys Sea underwent significant changes due to the movement of tectonic plates. As Gondwana began to break apart and drift northward, the sea gradually narrowed. This process was driven by the forces of plate tectonics, with new oceanic crust forming at mid-ocean ridges and old crust being subducted beneath continental plates. During the late Cretaceous period, around 80 million years ago, the African and Indian plates collided with Eurasia, leading to the formation of mountain ranges such as the Alps and the Himalayas. This collision marked the beginning of the end for the Tethys Sea. as its waters were slowly squeezed out and its seafloor was uplifted. The remnants of the Tethys Sea can still be seen today in the form of the Mediterranean Sea, the Black Sea, and the Caspian Sea. These bodies of water represent the last vestiges of this once mighty ocean, serving as a reminder of the dynamic nature of our planet and the constant changes occurring on its surface over geological timescales. The movement of India towards Asia began approximately 180 million years ago during the breakup of the supercontinent Gondwana. At that time, India was part of a larger landmass that included Madagascar and Antarctica. As tectonic forces pulled Gondwana apart, India and Madagascar began to separate from Africa and Antarctica, moving northward as a single block. About 80 million years ago, India and Madagascar split apart, with India continuing its northward journey across what would become the Indian Ocean. This movement was driven by seafloor spreading at the mid-ocean ridge between India and Antarctica, pushing the Indian plate northward at a remarkably rapid pace of about 20 centimeters per year. As India moved northward, it encountered the Eurasian plate, which was relatively stationary. The collision between these two massive landmasses began around 50 million years ago, marking the start of a monumental geological event that would reshape the face of the Earth. This collision initiated the formation of the Himalayas, the tallest mountain range on our planet. The process continues to this day, with India still pushing into Asia at a rate of about 5 centimeters per year, causing the Himalayas to grow taller by about 5 millimeters annually. Continental drift played a pivotal role in shaping the evolution and distribution of species across our planet. As landmasses slowly moved over millions of years, they carried with them the plants and animals that inhabited them. This gradual separation created isolated populations, leading to divergent evolution and the development of unique species adapted to their new environments. When continents were joined together in the supercontinent Pangaea, species could move freely across vast areas. As Pangaea began to break apart roughly 200 million years ago, populations of plants and animals became increasingly isolated. This isolation acted as a catalyst for speciation, the process by which new species emerge. Cut off from their relatives, organisms adapted to their new surroundings, developing distinct characteristics over time. The movement of continents also altered global climate patterns, creating new environmental pressures that further drove evolution. As landmasses shifted, they changed ocean currents and wind patterns, leading to the formation of new deserts, rainforests, and other biomes. Species either adapted to these new conditions or faced extinction, resulting in the diverse array of life we see today. The effects of continental drift on species distribution are evident in the unique fauna and flora found on different continents. For example, marsupials thrived in Australia after it separated from other land masses, evolving into diverse forms like kangaroos and koalas. Similarly, the isolation of South America led to the evolution of distinctive species such as sloths and armadillos. Continental drift thus played a crucial role in creating the rich tapestry of life that exists across our planet today. The separation of continents, a process known as continental drift, has played a crucial role in shaping the diverse ecosystems we see on Earth today. This gradual movement of landmasses began around 200 million years ago when the supercontinent Pangaea started to break apart. As the continents slowly drifted away from each other, they carried with them plant and animal species that were once part of a single, interconnected ecosystem. This isolation of species on different continents led to a fascinating phenomenon called allopatric speciation. Cut off from their relatives on other landmasses, organisms began to adapt to their new, specific environments. Over millions of years, these adaptations accumulated, resulting in the evolution of entirely new species uniquely suited to their particular habitats. The separation also created new climate patterns and geographical features on each continent. Mountain ranges formed, new river systems emerged, and local weather conditions changed. These factors further influenced the evolution of flora and fauna, leading to the development of specialized ecosystems such as the Australian outback, the Amazon rainforest, and the African savanna. Moreover, the isolation prevented the spread of certain species between continents, allowing for the evolution of unique animals like marsupials in Australia or lemurs in Madagascar. This separation has resulted in the incredible biodiversity we observe today, with each continent hosting its own distinctive array of plant and animal life, perfectly adapted to its specific environmental conditions. Scientists employ several fascinating techniques to piece together the puzzle of ancient continental positions. One key method is paleomagnetism, which involves studying the magnetic properties of rocks. As molten rock cools and solidifies, magnetic minerals within it align with Earth's magnetic field, preserving a record of the planet's magnetic orientation at that time. By analyzing these magnetic signatures in rocks of different ages, researchers can determine the latitude at which the rocks formed and how their positions have changed over time. Fossil evidence also plays a crucial role in reconstructing past continental arrangements. Certain plant and animal species had limited geographic ranges, so finding their fossils on now distant continents suggests these landmasses were once connected. For example, fossils of the same freshwater reptiles found in both Africa and South America indicate these continents were joined in the past. Geological matching is another important technique. Scientists examine the composition, age, and structure of rock formations on different continents, looking for similarities that suggest they were once part of the same landmass. Mountain ranges that appear to have been cut off, with matching halves found on separate continents, provide compelling evidence of past continental connections. Advanced computer modeling has become an invaluable tool in recent years. By integrating data from various sources, including ocean floor spreading rates, tectonic plate movements, and geological evidence, scientists can create detailed simulations of continental drift over millions of years. These models help visualize how continents may have moved and interacted throughout Earth's history, providing a dynamic view of our planet's ever-changing face. Understanding past continental movements provides crucial insights into the Earth's dynamic processes, allowing scientists to make informed predictions about future changes. By studying the historical record of plate tectonics, geologists can identify patterns and trends that have shaped our planet over millions of years. This knowledge reveals how continents have drifted, collided, and separated over time, forming mountain ranges, ocean basins, and other geological features. These past movements offer clues about the forces at work beneath the Earth's surface, including convection currents in the mantle and the behavior of tectonic plates. By analyzing the rates and directions of past continental movements, scientists can extrapolate these trends into the future. This helps them forecast how landmasses might shift over the coming millions of years, predicting potential changes in coastlines, the formation of new mountain ranges, and the opening or closing of ocean basins. Moreover, understanding past continental movements aids in predicting seismic activity and volcanic eruptions. By identifying areas where plates are converging or diverging, scientists can better assess the likelihood of earthquakes and volcanic events in specific regions, contributing to improved hazard preparedness and risk assessment for populations living in tectonically active areas. The journey of plants from water to land was a monumental step in the evolution of life on Earth. This transition began around 470 million years ago during the Ordovician period. The first land plants evolved from green algae that lived in shallow waters near the shore. These pioneering plants faced numerous challenges as they adapted to the harsh terrestrial environment. One of the primary adaptations was the development of a waxy cuticle on their surfaces. This protective layer helped prevent water loss, a crucial feature for survival in the dry air. The early land plants also evolved specialized pores called stomata, which allowed them to regulate gas exchange and water loss. These tiny openings could open to take in carbon dioxide for photosynthesis and close to conserve water when needed. Another key adaptation was the evolution of rigid cell walls containing lignin. This compound provided structural support, allowing plants to grow upright and resist the pull of gravity. Without the buoyancy of water, land plants needed this internal scaffolding to stand tall and access sunlight. Additionally, Early land plants developed rudimentary root-like structures called rhizoids, which helped anchor them to the ground and absorb water and nutrients from the soil. Reproduction also underwent significant changes. While aquatic plants could rely on water to transport their reproductive cells, land plants evolved spores, protected by tough outer walls. These spores could withstand drying out and be carried by wind to new locations, allowing plants to spread across the land. Over time, more complex reproductive strategies emerged, including the development of seeds, which provided even greater protection and nourishment for the next generation of plants. The Devonian period, spanning from about 419 million to 359 million years ago, marked a revolutionary time for plant evolution. This era saw plants make the crucial transition from small, simple forms confined to watery environments to more complex organisms capable of thriving on land. One of the most significant innovations was the development of a vascular system. This network of specialized tissues allowed plants to transport water and nutrients more efficiently throughout their structures. With this new ability, plants could grow taller and support more complex body plans, leading to the emergence of the first trees. Another key advancement was the evolution of roots. These underground structures provided stability, allowing plants to anchor themselves in soil and extract water and nutrients more effectively. Roots also played a crucial role in soil formation, fundamentally altering Earth's landscapes and creating new habitats for other organisms. The Devonian also saw the development of seeds, a major leap in plant reproduction. Seeds provided a protective covering for plant embryos and a food source for developing seedlings, enabling plants to spread to new areas and survive in more challenging environments. This innovation set the stage for the eventual dominance of seed plants in terrestrial ecosystems, shaping the plant world we see today. The evolution of vascular tissues marked a revolutionary turning point in plant biology, fundamentally altering both the structure and function of plants. This critical adaptation allowed plants to grow taller and colonize new terrestrial environments, reshaping the face of our planet. Vascular tissues, composed of xylem and phloem, created an efficient transport system within plants. Xylem, with its hollow, tube-like structures, enabled the movement of water and minerals from roots to leaves, allowing plants to grow taller than ever before. Phloem, on the other hand, facilitated the distribution of sugars and other organic compounds produced during photosynthesis throughout the plant body. This internal plumbing system had profound effects on plant structure. Plants could now develop more complex body plans, with specialized organs like leaves for photosynthesis and roots for nutrient absorption. The ability to transport water and nutrients over longer distances led to the emergence of woody tissues, providing structural support for taller growth forms such as trees. Functionally, vascular tissues dramatically improved plants' ability to compete for sunlight and exploit new habitats. They could now grow taller, outcompeting their non-vascular counterparts and accessing more light for photosynthesis. This increased efficiency in resource allocation and utilization allowed plants to colonize drier environments, expanding their ecological range and setting the stage for the diverse plant life we see today. The evolution of leaves marked a pivotal moment in plant history, dramatically reshaping the diversity and distribution of plant life across our planet. This innovative adaptation allowed plants to capture sunlight more efficiently, leading to an explosion in photosynthetic capacity. As a result, plants could produce energy at unprecedented rates, fueling rapid growth and enabling them to colonize new environments. Leaves came in various shapes and sizes, each suited to different ecological niches. Some plants developed broad leaves to maximize light absorption in shady forests, while others evolved narrow leaves to conserve water in arid regions. This diversification of leaf structures opened up new possibilities for plant adaptation, allowing them to thrive in a wide range of habitats from tropical rainforests to Arctic tundra. The increased energy production from leaves also supported the evolution of more complex plant structures. Stems grew taller, roots delved deeper, and reproductive organs became more elaborate. This led to the emergence of new plant groups, including the first trees and flowering plants, which further transformed Earth's ecosystems. Moreover, the abundance of leaves created new opportunities for other organisms. Insects evolved to feed on leaves, while animals developed strategies to climb trees and reach this nutritious food source. This intricate web of interactions between plants and other life forms further drove the diversification of species, shaping the rich tapestry of life we see today. Seeds emerged as a revolutionary adaptation in plant evolution, marking a significant leap forward in the plant kingdom's ability to reproduce and spread. This innovation first appeared around 360 million years ago during the Devonian period, a time of great change and diversification in terrestrial life. The evolution of seeds provided several crucial advantages to plants. First and foremost, seeds allowed plants to protect their embryos from harsh environmental conditions. The seed coat, a tough outer layer, shields the delicate embryo inside from physical damage, extreme temperatures, and desiccation. This protection enabled plants to survive in a wider range of habitats and climates. Seeds also contain a food supply for the developing embryo, giving young plants a head start in growth. This nutrient reserve, typically in the form of endosperm, allows seedlings to establish themselves more quickly and compete more effectively for resources. Additionally, seeds facilitated the dispersal of plants over greater distances. Various mechanisms evolved for seed dispersal, including wind-borne structures, buoyant casings for water transport, and attractive fruits to encourage animal-assisted distribution. The advent of seeds also allowed plants to pause their life cycle during unfavorable conditions. This dormancy period is a crucial survival strategy, enabling seeds to wait for optimal growing conditions before germinating. This ability to weather periods of drought, cold, or other adverse conditions greatly expanded the range of environments where plants could thrive, leading to increased biodiversity and the colonization of new habitats across the globe. The Carboniferous period, spanning from about 360 million to 300 million years ago, was a time of lush vegetation and extensive swamps. During this era, several plant groups dominated the landscape, creating the perfect conditions for the formation of coal deposits that would later fuel the Industrial Revolution. Towering lycopsid trees, also known as scale trees, were among the most prominent plants of the Carboniferous. These giants, reaching heights of up to 40 meters, had thick trunks covered in diamond-shaped leaf scars. Unlike modern trees, lycopsids reproduced via spores rather than seeds. Their relatives today are the much smaller club mosses. Another significant group was the horsetails, or sphenopsids. These plants, similar to modern horsetails but much larger, grew in dense stands in swampy areas. Some species reached heights of up to 30 meters, with jointed stems and whorls of leaves at regular intervals. Ferns also thrived during this period, with both tree ferns and smaller ground-dwelling species covering the forest floor. The Carboniferous also saw the rise of seed plants, including early conifers and seed ferns. These plants represented a major evolutionary step, as they could reproduce without the need for standing water. This adaptation allowed them to colonize drier habitats and eventually dominate the plant world in later periods. The diversity and abundance of these plant groups created vast carbon sinks, significantly altering the composition of the atmosphere and setting the stage for the evolution of large land animals. The evolution of trees dramatically reshaped terrestrial ecosystems, ushering in a new era of life on Earth. When trees first appeared around 400 million years ago, they revolutionized the planet's landscapes and atmospheric composition. Trees introduced unprecedented vertical structure to ecosystems, creating new habitats and niches for a diverse array of organisms. Their towering canopies and complex root systems provided shelter, food, and living space for countless species, from tiny insects to larger animals. This vertical expansion of habitats led to an explosion of biodiversity, as organisms adapted to life at different heights within the emerging forests. The deep roots of trees also transformed soil structures, enhancing water retention and nutrient cycling. This change in soil composition allowed for the development of more complex plant communities and supported a greater variety of terrestrial life. Additionally, trees began to shed organic matter, creating leaf litter and decaying wood that form the basis of new food webs and ecological processes. Perhaps most significantly, trees altered the Earth's atmosphere. Through photosynthesis, they began absorbing vast quantities of carbon dioxide and releasing oxygen. This process gradually increased atmospheric oxygen levels, enabling the evolution of larger, more complex animals and setting the stage for the emergence of new forms of life that would shape the planet's future. As Earth's climate changed over millions of years, plants faced the challenge of surviving in increasingly dry environments. To overcome this obstacle, plants developed several crucial adaptations. One key innovation was the evolution of a waxy cuticle covering their leaves and stems. This protective layer helped prevent excessive water loss through evaporation, allowing plants to retain precious moisture in arid conditions. Another significant adaptation was the development of stomata, tiny pores on the surface of leaves that could open and close. These structures gave plants precise control over gas exchange and water loss, enabling them to conserve water during dry periods while still allowing for photosynthesis when conditions were favorable. Some plants took adaptation a step further by modifying their leaves into spines or scales, dramatically reducing the surface area exposed to dry air. Cacti and other succulent plants evolved specialized tissues to store water, allowing them to survive long periods without rainfall. Additionally, many desert plants developed deep root systems to access underground water sources, ensuring a steady supply even when surface moisture was scarce. These adaptations not only allowed plants to survive in drier environments, but also paved the way for them to colonize vast new areas of land. As plants spread into previously inhospitable regions, they played a crucial role in shaping ecosystems and altering the composition of Earth's atmosphere, setting the stage for the diverse plant life we see today. Conifers began their rise to dominance during the Triassic period, about 250 million years ago. These resilient plants thrived in the changing climate of the time, which was characterized by increasing aridity and seasonal fluctuations. Conifers possessed several adaptations that gave them a significant advantage over other plant groups. One key feature was their needle-like leaves, which were better suited to conserve water in drier environments. These leaves had a smaller surface area compared to the broad leaves of many other plants, reducing water loss through transpiration. Additionally, conifers developed thick, waxy coatings on their needles, further enhancing their ability to retain moisture. Another crucial adaptation was the conifers' reproductive strategy. They produced seeds in cones, which offered better protection for developing embryos than the naked seeds of their predecessors. This innovation allowed conifers to spread more efficiently and colonize new areas, even in challenging conditions. As the Triassic gave way to the Jurassic period, about 200 million years ago, conifers continued to diversify and expand their range. They formed vast forests across the supercontinent Pangaea, adapting to various climates and elevations. This widespread distribution set the stage for conifers to become one of the dominant plant groups on Earth, a position they still hold in many ecosystems today. The first flowering plants emerged during the early Cretaceous period, approximately 140 million years ago. These pioneering angiosperms were quite different from the diverse array of flowers we see today. They were small, with simple structures and unspecialized parts. The earliest flowers likely resembled modern magnolias or water lilies, with a basic arrangement of petals and reproductive organs. These ancient blooms were not particularly showy or colorful. Their primary purpose was reproduction rather than attracting insect pollinators, which had not yet co-evolved with flowers. Instead, they relied on wind or water for pollination. The petals were often greenish or pale in color, blending in with the surrounding foliage. As time progressed, these early flowering plants began to diversify rapidly. They developed more complex structures, including specialized petals, stamens, and pistils. This rapid evolution allowed them to adapt to various environments and eventually outcompete many other plant groups, leading to their dominance in many ecosystems. The advent of flowering plants marked a significant turning point in Earth's botanical history. Their ability to produce fruits and seeds enclosed in ovaries gave them an evolutionary advantage, allowing for more efficient seed dispersal and protection. This innovation set the stage for the incredible diversity of flowering plants we see in the world today, from tiny duckweed to massive rainforest trees. The intricate dance between plants and insects has been a powerful force shaping the diversity of plant life on Earth. This relationship began over 400 million years ago when plants first colonized land. As plants evolved and diversified, so did the insects that fed on them, creating a cycle of adaptation and counter-adaptation that continues to this day. Plants developed an array of defenses to protect themselves from insect herbivores. These included physical barriers like tough leaves, thorns, and sticky resins, as well as chemical defenses, such as toxic compounds and bitter tastes. In response, insects evolved mechanisms to overcome these defenses, such as specialized mouthparts to pierce plant tissues or enzymes to neutralize toxic compounds. This evolutionary arms race led to incredible plant diversity. Different plant species evolved unique combinations of defenses, while others developed mutually beneficial relationships with insects. Some plants, for instance, produce nectar or other rewards to attract insects that help with pollination or defend against other herbivores. This resulted in the evolution of flowers with various shapes, colors, and scents, each adapted to attract specific insect pollinators. The coevolution of plants and insects has also driven the development of complex plant chemistry. Many of the compounds plants produce to deter insects have become valuable to humans as medicines, spices, and other useful substances. This ongoing process of adaptation between plants and insects continues to generate new plant varieties and contribute to the astounding biodiversity we see in ecosystems around the world. The emergence and spread of flowering plants, scientifically known as angiosperms, dramatically transformed Earth's ecosystems around 130 million years ago. This botanical revolution reshaped the planet's landscapes and had far-reaching effects on animal life, particularly insects. Flowering plants quickly diversified and colonized various habitats, outcompeting many existing plant species. Their rapid growth, efficient reproduction, and ability to adapt to different environments allowed them to dominate many ecosystems. This shift in plant life altered the availability and types of food sources for animals, leading to significant changes in fauna. The relationship between flowering plants and insects became particularly important. Many insects evolved alongside these plants, developing specialized structures to feed on nectar and pollen. This coevolution led to the rise of important pollinators like bees, butterflies, and moths, which in turn helped flowering plants spread even further. The impact of flowering plants extended beyond insects. New fruits and seeds provided food for birds and mammals, influencing their evolution and behavior. Forests became more diverse, creating new niches for animals to inhabit. This cascade of changes ultimately reshaped entire food webs and ecosystems, setting the stage for the rich biodiversity we see in many parts of the world today. As the continents slowly drifted across the globe over millions of years, plants faced ever-changing environmental challenges. This gradual movement exposed vegetation to diverse climate zones, from scorching equatorial heat to frigid polar conditions. In response, plants evolved a wide array of adaptations to survive and thrive in these new environments. In arid regions, plants developed water-conserving strategies. Cacti and other succulents, for instance, modified their leaves into spines to reduce water loss and stored moisture in their thick stems. Some desert plants grew extensive root systems to tap into underground water sources, while others adopted a brief life cycle, flowering and producing seeds quickly during rare rainy periods. Conversely, plants in tropical rainforests adapted to high rainfall and limited light. They evolved large leaves to capture as much sunlight as possible in the dense canopy. Some species developed the ability to grow on other plants as epiphytes, accessing light without reaching the forest floor. In temperate zones, deciduous trees adapted to seasonal changes by shedding their leaves in winter to conserve energy. Arctic and alpine plants faced extreme cold and strong winds, They adapted by growing low to the ground in dense mats, which helped them retain heat and moisture. Some developed the ability to perform photosynthesis at lower temperatures, allowing them to make the most of the brief growing seasons in these harsh environments. These diverse adaptations showcase the remarkable resilience and flexibility of plant life as it spread across the shifting continents. Throughout Earth's history, plant life has evolved into truly massive forms. One of the most impressive ancient plants was prototaxites, a mysterious organism that lived around 400 million years ago. These peculiar life forms grew up to 26 feet tall and 3 feet wide, towering over the landscape like giant tree trunks. For decades, scientists debated whether prototaxites were actually plants or fungi, with recent evidence suggesting they were likely a type of fungus. Moving to more recent times, the Carboniferous period saw the rise of enormous tree-like plants called lepidodendron. These scale trees could reach heights of over 160 feet, with trunks nearly 6 feet in diameter. Despite their tree-like appearance, lepidodendron were actually more closely related to modern club mosses and quillworts. In the world of flowering plants, the Titan arum stands out as one of the largest and most bizarre species. While not particularly tall, its flower structure, known as an inflorescence, can grow up to 10 feet high and 5 feet wide. This massive bloom, coupled with its infamous rotting flesh odor, has earned it the nickname corpse flower. Today, the largest known plant is a species of seagrass discovered off the coast of Australia. This single plant, a clone of Posidonia australis, covers an area of nearly 80 square miles, making it larger than many cities. Its vast size and age, estimated at around 4,500 years, showcase the incredible potential for plant growth given the right conditions. Plant evolution dramatically altered Earth's atmosphere, transforming our planet into the life-sustaining world we know today. The key to this transformation was the development of photosynthesis, a process that emerged in early cyanobacteria and was later adopted by plants. Photosynthesis uses sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide to produce energy for plants, releasing oxygen as a byproduct. As plants spread across the land, they began to pump vast quantities of oxygen into the atmosphere. This gradual increase in oxygen levels, known as the Great Oxygenation Event, started about 2.5 billion years ago and continued for hundreds of millions of years. The rise in atmospheric oxygen had profound effects on Earth's chemistry and biology. It allowed for the evolution of complex oxygen-breathing life forms, including animals and eventually humans. Additionally, some of the oxygen in the upper atmosphere formed ozone, creating a protective layer that shields Earth from harmful ultraviolet radiation. Plants also play a crucial role in the carbon cycle, absorbing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. This process has helped regulate Earth's climate over millions of years, contributing to the stable conditions that have allowed life to flourish. The interplay between plant evolution and atmospheric composition continues to shape our planet's environment to this day. Life in Earth's oceans underwent dramatic transformations during the period from 400 million to 66 million years ago. This vast span of time saw the rise and fall of numerous marine species, each leaving its mark on the evolutionary timeline. The early part of this era witnessed the dominance of armored fish, their bodies protected by bony plates. As time progressed, these gave way to more agile swimmers, including the first sharks and ray-finned fish. The oceans teemed with bizarre creatures like sea scorpions and trilobites, their alien forms a testament to life's endless capacity for innovation. Around 300 million years ago, the first reptiles ventured into the seas. These air-breathing hunters evolved into formidable marine predators, including long-necked plesiosaurs and streamlined ichthyosaurs. They ruled the waves for millions of years, feasting on the abundance of fish and squid-like creatures that filled the ancient oceans. Towards the end of this period, about 100 million years ago, the seas saw another major shift. Bony fish began to diversify rapidly, laying the groundwork for modern marine ecosystems. The first ancestors of whales and dolphins returned to the water, beginning their own aquatic journey. This era of change set the stage for the marine world we know today, a realm of incredible diversity and adaptation. The Devonian period, spanning from about 419 million to 359 million years ago, was a time of significant marine biodiversity, often called the Age of Fishes. This era saw the rise and dominance of various fish species in Earth's oceans. Armored fish, known as placoderms, were among the most prominent marine creatures during this time. These formidable predators had bony plates covering their heads and thoraxes, giving them a distinct appearance and robust protection. Alongside placoderms, primitive sharks began to emerge and diversify, setting the stage for their future prominence in marine ecosystems. Another group that flourished during the Devonian was the lobe-finned fishes. These creatures, which included species like Eusthenopteron, possessed fleshy, muscular fins that would later prove crucial in the evolution of tetrapods and the eventual conquest of land by vertebrates. Ray-finned fishes, the ancestors of most modern fish species, also began their ascent during this period. The Devonian seas were not solely dominated by vertebrates. Invertebrates, such as trilobites, although past their evolutionary peak, remained common. Reef-building corals expanded their presence, creating complex marine habitats. Cephalopods, including early ancestors of modern squids and octopuses, were also significant components of Devonian marine ecosystems. This diverse array of life forms set the stage for future marine evolution and shaped the course of life on Earth. Fish began their evolutionary journey over 500 million years ago, emerging from early aquatic vertebrates. These primitive fish-like creatures lacked jaws and relied on filter feeding. As time passed, fish developed more complex features, including jaws, which revolutionized their feeding abilities and opened up new ecological niches. The Devonian period, often called the Age of Fishes, saw an explosion of fish diversity. During this time, fish evolved into many different forms, including armored placoderms, shark-like cartilaginous fish, and bony fish. These groups adapted to various aquatic environments, from shallow coastal waters to deep oceans and freshwater habitats. One of the most significant developments in fish evolution was the emergence of lobe-finned fish. These fish had fleshy, muscular fins that would later give rise to the limbs of terrestrial vertebrates. Meanwhile, ray-finned fish, which make up the majority of modern fish species, continued to diversify and adapt to a wide range of aquatic habitats. Throughout their long history, fish have faced numerous environmental challenges, including climate changes and mass extinction events. These pressures have driven further adaptation and diversification, leading to the incredible variety of fish we see today, from tiny gobies to massive whale sharks. Fish continue to evolve, demonstrating the ongoing nature of evolutionary processes in our oceans and freshwater ecosystems. The evolution of marine vertebrates brought about remarkable innovations that transformed life in the oceans. One of the most significant developments was the emergence of jaws. This adaptation, which first appeared in ancient fish, revolutionized feeding strategies and predation in marine environments. Jaws allowed for more efficient capture and processing of prey, leading to a diversification of species and ecological roles. Another crucial innovation was the development of fins, which later evolved into limbs. This transformation began in fish and eventually led to the emergence of tetrapods, the first vertebrates to venture onto land. The modification of fins into weight-bearing limbs opened up new habitats and opportunities for marine life to colonize terrestrial environments. The evolution of lungs alongside gills marked another pivotal moment in marine vertebrate history. This dual respiratory system allowed certain fish to breathe air, enabling them to survive in oxygen-poor waters and eventually facilitating the transition to land. Some marine mammals, like whales and dolphins, later reversed this trend by evolving from land-dwelling ancestors and readapting to life in the water. Perhaps one of the most intriguing innovations was the development of echolocation in marine mammals, such as dolphins and whales. This sophisticated biological sonar system allows these animals to navigate, communicate, and locate prey in the dark depths of the ocean, showcasing the remarkable adaptability of marine vertebrates to their underwater world. The emergence of tetrapods from aquatic environments marks a pivotal moment in evolutionary history. This transition occurred approximately 370 million years ago during the Devonian period. The first tetrapods evolved from lobe-finned fish, a group that includes modern-day lungfish and coelacanths. These early tetrapods developed key adaptations that allowed them to venture onto land. Their fins gradually transformed into weight-bearing limbs with digits, enabling them to push against solid surfaces. Simultaneously, their skulls underwent significant changes, separating from the shoulder girdle to allow for more flexible head movements and improved breathing in air. Another crucial development was the modification of gills into lungs capable of extracting oxygen from the air. This adaptation allowed these creatures to spend extended periods out of water. However, these early tetrapods were not fully terrestrial and likely spent much of their time in shallow waters, venturing onto land for short periods. Fossil evidence suggests that these transitions occurred in stages, with some species exhibiting intermediate features. The discovery of Tiktaalik, a transitional fossil between fish and tetrapods, has provided valuable insights into this evolutionary process. These findings highlight the gradual nature of this monumental shift from sea to land, setting the stage for the diverse array of terrestrial vertebrates we see today. In Earth's ancient seas, coral was not always the dominant reef builder we know today. During the Paleozoic era, which spanned from about 540 million to 250 million years ago, the main architects of reefs were quite different. Stromatolites, layered structures formed by photosynthetic microorganisms, were among the earliest reef builders. These living mats of bacteria created vast reef systems in shallow waters, some of which can still be found today in places like Shark Bay, Australia. As life evolved, new reef builders emerged. Archaeocyaths, small vase-shaped organisms related to sponges, became prominent reef constructors in the early Cambrian period. They were followed by more complex creatures like rugose and tabulate corals, which flourished in the Ordovician and Silurian periods. Perhaps the most significant ancient reef builders were stromatoporoids, organisms believed to be related to sponges. These creatures dominated reef ecosystems for over 100 million years, creating massive, layered structures that rivaled modern coral reefs in size and complexity. Alongside them, brachiopods and bryozoans also contributed significantly to reef formation, creating diverse and thriving marine ecosystems that laid the foundation for the reefs we see today. Marine reptiles evolved from land-dwelling ancestors, gradually adapting to life in the water over millions of years. This remarkable transition began during the Permian period, about 250 million years ago, and continued through the age of dinosaurs. The journey from land to sea involved numerous physical changes. Limbs transformed into flippers, enhancing swimming ability and maneuverability in water. Bodies became more streamlined, reducing drag and allowing for efficient movement through aquatic environments. Some species developed fins and flattened tails to aid in propulsion and steering. Breathing mechanisms also adapted. While retaining lungs, many marine reptiles evolved the ability to stay submerged for extended periods. Some developed specialized nostrils positioned high on their heads, allowing them to breathe while mostly submerged. Others, like sea turtles, developed the capacity to absorb oxygen through their skin and cloaca, supplementing their lung-based respiration. These adaptations allowed marine reptiles to thrive in diverse aquatic niches. From the powerful ichthyosaurs that resembled modern dolphins to the long-necked plesiosaurs and the massive mosasaurs, these creatures became formidable predators in ancient seas. Their evolution showcases the incredible adaptability of life and the diverse paths it can take in response to environmental challenges. During the Cretaceous period, the oceans teemed with formidable marine predators, each adapted to dominate their underwater realm. Among the most impressive was the Mosasaurus, a massive marine reptile that could grow up to 50 feet in length. With powerful jaws lined with sharp teeth, The Mosasaurus was a fearsome hunter, capable of taking down large prey, including other marine reptiles and sharks. Another notable predator was the Tylosaurus, a close relative of the Mosasaurus. This giant reptile could reach lengths of up to 45 feet and was known for its elongated snout filled with conical teeth, perfect for grasping slippery prey. The Tylosaurus was an opportunistic hunter, feeding on a variety of marine life, including fish, sharks, and even other mosasaurs. The oceans of the Cretaceous were also home to massive prehistoric sharks. The Cretoxyrhina, often called the Ginsu shark, was a particularly formidable predator. Growing up to 25 feet long, this shark had a powerful bite and was known to prey on large marine reptiles, including mosasaurs. Its fossilized teeth have been found embedded in the bones of its victims, testament to its ferocious hunting abilities. Plesiosaurs, such as the Elasmosaurus, were also significant predators during this time. With their long necks and sharp teeth, these marine reptiles were well equipped to snatch fish and squid from the water. While not as large as some of their contemporaries, plesiosaurs were successful predators that thrived throughout the Cretaceous period, adding to the diverse array of marine hunters that populated the ancient seas. Changing sea levels have played a crucial role in shaping marine biodiversity throughout Earth's history. As oceans rise and fall, they create and destroy habitats, influencing the evolution and distribution of marine species. During periods of higher sea levels, vast shallow seas covered continental shelves, providing expansive habitats for marine life. These environments fostered the development of diverse ecosystems, particularly coral reefs and seagrass meadows. The increased area of shallow water habitats allowed for greater speciation and biodiversity among marine organisms. Conversely, when sea levels dropped, these shallow habitats were exposed, leading to mass extinctions of marine species unable to adapt to the changing conditions. However, lower sea levels also created isolated basins and seas, promoting the evolution of unique species adapted to these specific environments. The cyclical nature of sea level changes has driven the evolution of marine life, with species developing adaptations to survive these fluctuations. This process has contributed to the rich biodiversity we observe in our oceans today, as well as the complex patterns of species distribution across different marine environments. Continental drift profoundly reshaped ocean currents and marine ecosystems over millions of years. As land masses shifted, they altered the flow of water in the oceans, creating new pathways and barriers that redirected currents. These changes in circulation patterns had far-reaching effects on global climate and the distribution of marine life. The formation and breakup of supercontinents like Pangaea led to dramatic shifts in ocean dynamics. As continents separated, new ocean basins formed, allowing for the development of circumpolar currents. The Antarctic Circumpolar Current, for instance, emerged when South America separated from Antarctica about 30 million years ago. This powerful current isolated Antarctica, contributing to its cooling and eventual glaciation. Changes in ocean currents influenced nutrient distribution and water temperatures, directly impacting marine ecosystems. Some species found themselves cut off from their usual habitats, leading to isolation and eventual speciation. Others were able to expand into new territories, adapting to different conditions and evolving into new forms. The opening and closing of seaways also affected the mixing of previously separate populations, sometimes resulting in competition or hybridization. The long-term effects of continental drift on marine life are evident in the distinct species found in different ocean basins today. For example, the separation of the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans by the formation of the Isthmus of Panama about 3 million years ago led to the divergence of many marine species, including tropical fish and coral populations. This geological event serves as a striking example of how continental movements can shape the evolution and distribution of marine life over time. Marine invertebrates have a long and fascinating evolutionary history that stretches back over 500 million years. These diverse creatures, which lack a backbone, began their journey in the ancient seas of the Precambrian era. During this time, simple multicellular organisms evolved into more complex forms, setting the stage for the explosion of life that would follow. The Cambrian period marked a crucial turning point in the evolution of marine invertebrates. This era, often referred to as the Cambrian explosion, saw a rapid diversification of animal body plans and the emergence of many major invertebrate groups we recognize today. Creatures like trilobites, mollusks, and primitive arthropods flourished in the oceans, developing hard shells and exoskeletons that offered protection and support. As time progressed, marine invertebrates continued to adapt and diversify. The development of new feeding strategies, locomotion methods, and reproductive techniques allowed these organisms to exploit various ecological niches. Some groups, like cephalopods, evolved complex nervous systems and sophisticated behaviors, while others, such as coral polyps, formed massive reef structures that became habitats for countless other species. Throughout their evolutionary journey, marine invertebrates have faced numerous challenges, including mass extinction events and changing environmental conditions. However, their ability to adapt and evolve has allowed them to persist and thrive, resulting in the incredible diversity we see in our oceans today. From microscopic plankton to giant squid, marine invertebrates continue to play crucial roles in ocean ecosystems and serve as a testament to the power of evolutionary processes. The Mesozoic era saw an incredible diversity of marine life, with some truly extraordinary creatures inhabiting the ancient seas. One of the most remarkable was the long-necked plesiosaur, a reptile that looked like a snake threaded through the body of a turtle. These bizarre animals could grow up to 40 feet in length, with over half of that being their incredibly long, flexible necks. Another strange denizen of Mesozoic waters was the ichthyosaur, often described as a fish lizard. These creatures evolved to look remarkably like modern dolphins, despite being reptiles. They had streamlined bodies, powerful tails, and gave birth to live young in the water, much like whales and dolphins do today. The oceans were also home to mosasaurs, enormous marine lizards that could reach lengths of up to 50 feet. These fearsome predators had double-hinged jaws and an extra set of teeth on the roof of their mouths, allowing them to swallow large prey whole. Their powerful paddle-like limbs made them formidable swimmers and hunters. One of the most unusual creatures was the Dunkleosteus, a massive armored fish that lived in the late Devonian period. Although it became extinct before the Mesozoic, its legacy continued to influence marine ecosystems. This bus-sized fish had a powerful bite and bony plates instead of teeth, forming a beak-like structure that could easily crush the hardest prey. After major extinction events, marine ecosystems faced the daunting task of rebuilding from the remnants of life that survived. This process, known as recovery, often took millions of years and unfolded in distinct stages. Initially, the oceans were dominated by a small number of opportunistic species that could thrive in the altered environment. These hardy organisms, often referred to as disaster taxa, spread rapidly across the vacant ecological niches. As conditions stabilized, the next phase of recovery began. Surviving species started to diversify, adapting to fill the roles left empty by extinct organisms. This adaptive radiation led to the emergence of new species, gradually increasing biodiversity. Meanwhile, the physical environment of the oceans slowly returned to a more hospitable state, with factors like oxygen levels and temperature regulating over time. The final stages of recovery saw the re-establishment of complex food webs and the return of apex predators. These top-tier consumers played a crucial role in stabilizing ecosystems by controlling populations of smaller species. As reef systems rebuilt, they provided vital habitats for a multitude of marine life, further accelerating the recovery process. Each major extinction event left a unique imprint on marine ecosystems, influencing the direction of evolution and the composition of life in the oceans. The species that emerged from these recovery periods were often markedly different from those that came before, showcasing the resilience and adaptability of life in the face of catastrophic change. Marine microorganisms were the dominant life forms in ancient oceans, shaping Earth's environment for billions of years before complex life emerged. These tiny yet powerful organisms, including bacteria and archaea, played crucial roles in nutrient cycling and oxygen production. One of their most significant contributions was the development of photosynthesis. Cyanobacteria, also known as blue-green algae, began releasing oxygen as a byproduct of their metabolism. This gradual oxygenation of the oceans and atmosphere set the stage for the evolution of more complex life forms. Ancient marine microorganisms also formed the base of the food chain, supporting the development of larger organisms. They broke down organic matter, recycled nutrients, and created symbiotic relationships with other species. Some microorganisms even formed massive structures called stromatolites, which are layered rock formations that still exist in some parts of the world today. These microscopic pioneers left their mark on Earth's geological record. Their fossilized remains in ancient sediments provide valuable information about past climates and environments, helping scientists reconstruct the history of our planet and understand how life evolved over billions of years. The evolution of marine life has profoundly shaped global nutrient cycles, creating a complex interplay between living organisms and the Earth's chemical processes. As early as 3 billion years ago, primitive marine microorganisms began altering the composition of the oceans and atmosphere. These ancient life forms, through their metabolic activities, started to influence the carbon, nitrogen, and phosphorus cycles that are crucial for life on our planet. One of the most significant impacts came with the emergence of photosynthetic organisms in the oceans. These early plants and bacteria began to produce oxygen as a byproduct of their energy-making processes, gradually changing the Earth's atmosphere and oceans. This oxygen production not only transformed the planet's air, but also affected the cycling of other elements, such as iron and sulfur, in the marine environment. The development of organisms with calcium carbonate shells and skeletons, like mollusks and corals, had a major influence on the carbon cycle. These creatures extract carbon from the water to build their structures, and when they die, their remains often sink to the ocean floor. Over millions of years, this process has sequestered vast amounts of carbon in limestone deposits, affecting global carbon dioxide levels and climate patterns. The evolution of larger marine animals, such as fish and whales, has also played a crucial role in nutrient distribution. These organisms transport nutrients both vertically through the water column and horizontally across ocean basins. For instance, whales feeding in nutrient-rich polar waters and excreting in tropical areas effectively transfer vital elements across vast distances, fertilizing otherwise nutrient-poor regions of the oceans and supporting diverse ecosystems.